spider.
All right.
So,
We are live.
yeah.
Hey, Dan.
Long time no see, Dan. Yeah, I'm looking.
Dan.
Oh, that's me. Always me. All right. Yeah. I guess we'll get started 8:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, 8:30 sounds good. So, who's in there? How many people we got? Not many.
That's it. We're canceling it. Sorry, Dan.
Yep. Fuck everybody. I was gonna say that Dan made YouTuber of the month. Well, I'll say it now, but I'll say it a little bit later then too. I mean, it's about time. I got tired of voting for the guy, and every time he didn't win.
Hey, Verge. There you go.
Hey, Verge.
Anybody else?
One of the girls said he was the Susan Lucci of YouTube creators. That he was. Hey, Anthony.
Hey,
That
Anthony.
he was nominated every time, but he never won. Susan Lucci.
Did she ever win?
Yeah, she finally won. Just like Dan. Dan finally won. So that was bound to happen.
That's awesome, Anthony.
What did I push here? Oh boy. Did it again. Come on, man. Now I'm getting the commercial.
Oh,
There we go.
I got one too, and it's my own video, so don't worry about it.
You got 819 subs. That's awesome, dude. The Susan, yep. Oh man. So I had a blast watching these. I looked over my my ranking today, and I'm pretty satisfied with it.
I have to say, I was looking at it too, and this might be one of my most satisfying rankings. Like, typically I go back after a while and look at the ranking and say, why did I rank this here and why did I rank this here?
You mean like Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein?
Yeah. This one I looked back at and I was like, I think this is pretty much how I'd rank it now. I think there's really nothing that would change for me.
There was no movie in this entire 31 that I didn't like. There were some I liked less.
Yeah, exactly. Me
too. All of them I definitely think are worth a watch. The one that was the toughest for me, of course, is my last place and your last place as well.
Yeah.
I think we kind of made that apparent in our reviews.
Yeah, and I think it kind of makes sense because it really
it does.
It stands on its own. It's the thing about it. But yeah,
when I was on Dan's, I don't know if you saw, because I think I commented on some of his videos, and he had said that he had gotten the Invisible Man set.
Yep.
And and some of the other sets as well. So he's been watching some of the sequels as well, and he had never seen them. So I think there was like one or two that I had never seen.
That's what was most exciting for me doing this was either seeing sequels that I hadn't seen or revisiting sequels that I hadn't seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these I hadn't seen in like years, so it was cool to go back and see them again.
Because when I would watch them, I would only watch the mainstream ones, like Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein.
Exactly, I've seen those countless times. So seeing the sequels again was really fun, and honestly, I liked a lot of the sequels some more than the originals.
Yes, me too.
So it's just funny how that works out.
I'm looking at my top 5 now, and 2 of my top 5 are sequels. So,
yeah, I mean, I'll say at least 2 of mine are.
Yeah. And for the originals to be that strong, and Dan said it in his stream as well, but The Mummy is a little slow. So it was kind of a treat for me to go back and revisit some of the ones that Lon Chaney was in, because I really enjoyed I really enjoyed those a lot.
I will say this though, and I'll repeat it when we get to it, but when you and I watched The Mummy, which was only the third movie that we watched, obviously in
Mhm.
order. I remember you and I both being like, "What the hell? Like, this is a lot better than I remember." We both
It is,
actually.
but it is slow though. I mean,
It
it
is.
is very
But I remember-
dialogue driven because you have an actor like Boris Karloff in there.
I remember we weren't not necessarily not that we weren't looking forward to it, but we were kind
Right.
of expecting to be like, "All right, well, let's get this one over with." And I remember we were watching it, and we were both like, "Huh, you know what? We're really enjoying it."
Yep.
So it was pretty good when that happens.
What's weird is we had done this. I'm thinking we probably watched them in January or February.
Yeah, it was.
Maybe March, maybe into March. But I'm ready to watch them again.
Hmm.
Most of them.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Brian. But yeah, I'm ready to watch. I'm ready to watch most of them again. Like I would definitely watch all but maybe.
Well, like I said, I think there
Two of
should
them?
be there is definitely a couple we can do for controversial view.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
I mean, Dracula's Daughter and The Mummy's Curse.
Now I'm trying to remember. Do you have the VHS for that?
Of what?
Is that what you showed for Dracula's Daughter, the VHS?
I don't have the VHS for
Ooh,
that.
I think I do.
Do you? Nice.
I think I do.
Yeah, that one I don't have.
Yeah. But, and then seeing the four more, I watched yours, which I'm glad. Did we plan to do it differently?
I don't
remember.
I think we did. I think we kind of talked about it.
I'm glad we did that, though, because, people get different stuff to look at.
I'm doing them in order, basically to fit like the movies. So like, basically how we have Bravo,
Yeah.
Four or More, and Positive Spin, all basically relate.
Oh, that's right.
Yep. That's how I scheduled them. So like this, for anybody in the chat, this is Dracula weekend. Like,
Yeah.
basically you're gonna get all Dracula videos this time around.
So I did them kind of ass backwards then.
You're gonna get Frankenstein. You're gonna get Frankenstein next weekend. You're gonna get the Wolfman the following weekend. You're gonna, it's like that.
Hey, what's
Hey,
happening,
Katie. Well, that's interesting, Verge. He says he found the Mummy sequels slow, but the original he enjoyed. I see. I mean, I like all of them. I definitely see it the opposite. I feel like the sequels were like super fast because they're like really short. First of all, they're like an hour long.
Yeah.
And they were like
more like slasher movies.
They were like, I was gonna say they're very slasheristic.
Yeah.
I mean, they're pretty much straight slashers. I mean, the Mummy's Tomb and the Mummy's Ghost, especially.
Have you ever seen Hammer's The Mummy?
I think so.
We might have to adjust something.
Yeah.
You have it though, right?
We're gonna. I don't know. I might have to. I have to check.
Okay. Because Dan was also talking on your stream about Hammer's Mummy versus Universal's Mummy.
Yeah.
And to me, it's very tough because I like both for different reasons, same as I like Dracula for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit more of a Christopher Lee fan than a Bela Lugosi fan. I mean, that's probably like blasphemy, but Hammer did The Mummy better, in my opinion, because it was had more action in it.
Yeah.
Where, the first one was a little slow for me. But
I mean, it's one of those things where the first one worked for me, Universal, because of the setting. I mean, you put it in a different setting, and it's kind of like, oof, okay.
Yeah.
The setting really helps. I mean, it's cool. Like, obviously inside the pyramid, you get this beautiful chick, and like scantily clad, the mummy's chasing around.
Yeah.
So it's
that was the only one that scared my daughter when I introduced him to her.
Really?
The Mummy was the only one that scared her. Huh. She had nightmares about that.
That's pretty funny when you think about them in comparison.
Boris Karloff is a.
He's like a Michael Berryman. Like he has a look to him.
Or Klaus Kinski.
Yeah.
It's they're stunning to look at, and you can't help but to look at them.
Yep.
But they have this kind of, I don't want to say disfigurement. It's not that. It's just
No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
A very intense look to them, and I think that's what got to her.
Those eyes, they kind of like those chilling eyes.
Yep. But that was the only one that scared her because we used to rent them from Blockbuster, believe it or not, and watch them on Halloween. Rather than, I mean, of course, we watched Halloween too. I introduced her to that, and she didn't sleep real good after that. Let me tell you. And that was the cut version. Well,
TV, yeah.
Yeah. You see anything you like? Yeah, she was a little too young for that at that point. But I knew that really scared her pretty good, and rightfully so. I mean, it's a very scary movie.
Yeah.
And the bad dad who showed his kids.
Yes, he's definitely. Yeah, she doesn't like creepy movies now, so she will watch The Thing. She'll watch The Fly. She borrowed. Well, they've been around Halloween. They've been doing this. I think I told you about it, Joe. They, like, each one of them picks a horror movie, and they'll watch it.
Yeah. Right.
Midsummer was last year for them.
Yep.
She fell asleep. I was a little disappointed.
Wow.
She picked Misery last year because I think I lent it to her, or was that the year before? Can't remember. But she would tell me what she was watching. But I was like, all right, you know. Midsummer, I was really excited. I said, one part's going to completely take you out of the film, but keep watching. It's long, and I mean, I can understand if you're tired. That's probably not the best movie to watch.
Well,
although for me,
I'm sending you a nice Ari Aster film for controversial view. I already have it burned for you here in the stack.
Is that the works of his?
Yeah, it's one of those.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, dude.
It's gonna mess you up.
Oh, I'll love it. I'll definitely love it. Well, one of the Mummy sequels, touching on what Verge said, is one of my least favorite.
Me too.
You know, Dan probably knows our order, probably as it is, because he watched just about all the videos. Unfortunately, we don't leave a lot of doubt as to whether we like stuff or not.
Yeah.
Or how much we like stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So. This is my notebook. I don't think I've ever taken pictures because I look on the phone for the comments. And I write down all our rankings. I write down the stuff that, like the movies that we suggested when we were doing that.
Yeah.
And like our Don Coscarelli ranking, our 2000 slasher ranking, full moon ranking. By the way, Arcade's last. Our Fangoria ranking.
You gotta watch it.
I know. Witchcraft ranking. Right there.
Hell yeah.
I'm ready to go through them again too.
Can you believe how long? Can you believe how long it's been since we did those already? I feel like we were just watching those.
So I'll be the first to admit. You ready for this one? I've been going back and watching some of your older videos.
Okay.
For some reason, I was sitting here one day. I didn't feel like watching a movie. We had YouTube on. I think we were getting ready to go somewhere, and Corinne was upstairs taking a shower. So I just put on random videos. I was like, okay. First one that came up was the 10 most overrated films. Right?
Okay.
Maybe 3 years ago we did that one, or you did that one. I think I answered yours.
Yeah.
And seeing Paranormal Activity in there after we did the ranking was pretty interesting for me. I noticed that you had Friday the 13th Part 6, which makes sense.
Yep.
Halloween 2.
Yep. That would still be on.
Of course, Get Out. We both feel that that's really overrated.
Yeah.
Trying to think what the rest of them were. Oh, Nightmare Part 4. I was like, holy shit.
Wow.
You had Nightmare Part 4 in there. Huh. I was like, son of a bitch. People don't know that we're actually watching them. Well, we were watching them before we started doing something else that we'll get to.
Yeah.
Now I can't find my ranking for Universal Monster. Chuck Norris, Ty West, 2022 Heart. Here it is. Universal Monsters. So I messed up my, just to let everyone know, yeah, we're going to be starting soon. But we are going to be ranking also Bravo's scariest movie moments, all 143 of them. When that's over with, who knows when that's going to be. But I will let you know that I already messed up my ranking because I ranked them by movie, not by scariest moment. So now I got to go back and redo the whole thing.
Yeah.
And after a while, it just became the fact that we were kicking them out so quick.
Remember, what we're going to do for that, too, you and I talked about kind of agreeing on a ranking for that. So
yeah,
we're going to discuss it. So we're not doing like our own ranking for that just because.
Yeah.
So that's not really a huge deal.
Well, I watched your video for Bravo, and then I watched mine because it had been so long. And I was like, you know, that scene, I'm like replaying that scene in my head. And it's going to be tough to beat that one. That scene was terrifying.
It's pretty high right now.
Yeah.
I mean, after all the ones we've watched.
Yeah. Okay, live chat has moved. Where the hell did it move to? Oh, there it is. Just to preface, again, Universal Monsters. Joe and I had absolute blast watching these. For some of these films, it had been 30 years. 20 some years for me.
Yeah.
And watching them again, some of them, there were so little of what I remember seeing. Freaking commercial. But anyway, I just had so much fun with these. I really did.
Me too. And
they're, you know, most of them are relatively short. I think the longest one is Spanish Dracula.
Yep. We ended with the longest one.
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes we would knock 3 of them off a day.
3?
Yeah, well,
there were days we got 6 done.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, they're relatively short. Some of them are a little over an hour.
Yeah, because there were times we did like
at an hour,
4 or 5 during the day, and then 1 or 2 at night.
Yeah, I remember that now.
We flew through these.
Yeah, we did. And they're so much fun to watch. They really are. And the fact that we got to break them up the way we did.
Yeah.
Rather than just watching the Legacy Collection of one of them and then the next. And then
I like doing it like that. So it's not all Dracula, all Frankenstein, all, you know.
Plus you can see how far they came as one whole franchise, you know?
And also with the way some of the franchises collided, it was kind of cool to watch them that way.
Yes.
Because if not, you're seeing things that, you know what I mean? You almost needed to watch it like that. It's almost like it's all one big universe.
Yeah.
You know, these characters all exist in the same universe, so.
It doesn't feel like it at first, but when you get into like, I'd say like maybe 36, 35, 1935. Then they start doing these ones where, you know, this one's in this
crossovers.
Yeah. And it's so good. So freaking good.
All right. Well, day 31. You want to get started?
Yeah, let's do it.
Good time to rank these 31 movies.
Yeah.
All right. So, as always, guys, everyone in the chat, this is just our personal ranking, just based on. No, we're not necessarily saying our favorite movies are the best movies in the franchise in the list. Just the movies that we enjoy the most for whatever reason. Maybe it's the most rewatchable for us. Maybe we have some sort of nostalgia for it, whatever it might be. With that being said, something has to be last, and it just so happens that our last place at number 31 is the same movie.
Yeah,
and it is Phantom of the Opera.
Yes.
Now, this is the 1943 Phantom of the Opera, not the 1925 silent film, which
is awesome.
I can tell you would have ranked much higher than this.
So good.
I prefer the silent version, but
me too.
It was sort of a nice reprieve, I guess, because it was the only color movie, it's a Technicolor movie in this. It
didn't feel like it belonged for some reason.
It doesn't.
To be honest, when I was talking to my mom about this, because I told her that we were ranking the Universal monster movies, and she always liked them.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "Oh, you're talking about Phantom of the Opera with Lon Chaney?" I was like, "No," because that seems like it's more in line with the Universal monsters than this one does.
It does.
Yeah,
it does. Like when I think,
it has a certain feel to it.
When I think of the Phantom of the Opera, I think of that Phantom.
Yes.
Yeah, the silent one. The Lon Chaney one.
Yep. And then I think of Robert Englund.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm sorry, Hammer. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah,
Robert Englund.
But Robert Englund, he does come up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for this one, my biggest gripe with this one is I understand the title, but there have been plenty of Phantom of the Opera movies, and I think this Phantom of the Opera, maybe with the exception of the Schumacher version, has more music. It's just way too much opera.
Yeah.
And again, I know the word opera is in the title, but so is the word phantom. I'd rather see more of the phantom than the opera. And this was just, it almost felt like it was being catered to an opera audience as opposed to a Universal monster
more
audience.
Glitzy.
Yeah.
And that comes with the lavish set pieces and everything too.
Yeah. That's, there were times when I was like, okay, come on, get on with it. And it's actually one of the longer movies in this list too.
Yep.
So that didn't help. If it was like an hour long, whatever, like the rest of them, I think, I'd be like, okay, I can appreciate that more. They would have had to cut out some of the music to do that.
Thank God.
The problem is they made it a longer movie. I think it's like a good hour and a half as opposed to these others. And a lot of that is filled with opera. It's just performances where there's nothing else really happening. You're just watching the opera.
And the lavish sets and everything like that too. It almost seemed like they tried to upscale things too much. And I noticed that when you and I watched it, we had the same exact gripes for everything. It was like, I like the music. I understand it's called Phantom of the Opera, but Jesus, get on with it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like this one, and now you're sitting through another one.
Like you don't need to play the entire song.
Yes.
And then do another one after. It's like, how many musical numbers in a row do you need to watch?
It almost reminds me of how Dustin Ferguson, fan. I mean, I don't like to be mean or anything like that, but he uses a lot of padding in his films. So, I almost felt like I was watching an early Dustin Ferguson movie.
I mean, it's legitimately a musical. It feels more like a musical than it does, a horror film, a Universal monster movie. It just feels like a musical. I mean, when it's not doing the musical stuff, when it's not, there's a lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah, there is.
But it's just you have to get through all of the rest of it to get to the good stuff. And
it's probably one of the most expensive movies to make.
It was at the time, yeah.
Yeah, because don't get me wrong. There's not one dud in here. I don't think Joe thinks there's one dud in here.
No.
But the set pieces and all these are so gorgeous. And I that's what they took advantage of. I mean, they really did. Not only having the color, but having the sets to show the color in. It's just sometimes it'll take your mind off of things or how bored you might be by listening to the song, by looking at it's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yep.
But yeah, that's last. So you want to go first or you want me to go first?
Oh, you can go.
All right. My number 30. I know we do not have the same for this one. At least I think we don't. Is
We
the
definitely-
Invisible Woman.
Okay, we don't.
Because I remember talking to you about this a little bit when we were watching them.
It's not far off, but it's not.
I like the Invisible Woman a lot. Like I said, there are no duds in any of these franchises. There's just some I like a little less. And I think the fact that this has little to no horror in it, more science fiction.
Yeah, it feels
An
like
adventure?
it feels like a Bewitched episode.
Yes, yes.
But that's why I liked it a little bit more, because I don't know. It really did. It feel like a sitcom.
I mean, I appreciated it. I would watch it again tomorrow.
Super fun movie. Yeah.
Yeah, but it just wasn't really what I was looking for after seeing
Yeah.
Claude Rains as the Invisible Man. I mean,
Makes
it just, yeah, he's one of my favorites. But
I
what's your number 30, Joe?
My number 30 is Invisible Agent.
Really?
Yeah.
Probably for a lot of the same reason as.
It's just different. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like I love the whole superhero aspect. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
I think also the reason why I think at the time I ranked it like this, because I had this one up and down a little bit.
Yeah.
Because like you said, there's no duds. Not that I don't like it.
Right.
I think my reasoning at the time, because we ranked these months ago now, I think my reasoning was it's not one that's going to be a go-to for me.
Right.
I have to sort of be in the mood for like war movies, and this kind of like is like almost like a war movie
Yeah.
on top of everything else. So if I feel like watching a Universal monster movie, it's not going to be, I feel like watching an Invisible Agent.
Right.
It's just not going to be that type of movie for me. Doesn't
That's
mean
exactly
that I
the
didn't
way
like
I
it.
feel about Invisible Woman.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why, like I said, that's not far off either. So that's,
Yeah.
I just think the Invisible Woman, I'm a huge fan of like sitcoms like that, and I just kept getting the sitcom vibe from it. So I think that's why I ranked that one a little bit higher. But that's really the reason. Still a really good movie. I like the scene when he's putting on the makeup in the mirror. I use it as my thumbnail for the video, and that looks really cool. That's one thing with these Invisible Man movies. The effects were really good.
Oh man,
I mean,
so good.
surprisingly good for its time.
Yeah.
You know, and the Invisible Agent is no exception to that.
I agree.
So that's my number 30. What do you have for number 29?
All right, for number 29, I have The Mummy's Hand.
Okay.
Now, The Mummy's Hand for me was, of course, my least favorite mummy movie. And I think the reason that got to me a little bit is I'm like an Abbott and Costello fan. I really like them.
Yeah.
And this was like a knockoff, and it just kind of annoyed me like a knockoff. You know what I mean?
I originally had this one lower than I have it now too.
Yeah.
And it's still not that high, but when I get to it, I'll explain to you why I did move it up a little bit. But
Yeah.
You're saying the exact same reasons why I had it as low as I did.
I mean, the guys were good. They were sufficient in the film. Like I said, there are no duds.
Yeah.
But in giving reason why it's so low for me is the fact that they're knockoffs, and it's so blatant. It's like they couldn't afford to get Abbott and Costello.
It's like a great value Abbott and Costello.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's why it's at number 29 for me.
Okay.
What's your number 29, Joe?
My number 29 is Werewolf of London.
Really?
I really liked
Not
it.
far off.
Really liked it. I really do. Again, it's just one of those things where if I'm going to watch a wolf movie from Universal,
It's not going to be that one.
unfortunately, it's not going to be that one. Now, with that being said, I will say I find it insanely underrated.
Yeah, me too.
Truthfully, because who the hell talks about Werewolf of London? Of course, everybody's going to talk about the Wolfman and talk about the Wolfman sequels and everything else, but nobody's talking about Werewolf of London, and it came first.
Yeah.
Like this came before the Wolfman. So it's interesting to me that unfortunately the Wolfman came out and outshined it, and understandably so.
Yeah.
But I would say for anybody in the chat who hasn't seen Werewolf of London, give it a chance, because it's actually it's a really good movie. I really like the look of the werewolf in it too. Really cool look. It's a cool story. It's a fun story, and I think it deserves more attention. It just unfortunately is in comparison to all of these other great films. So I really couldn't put it much higher. I mean, I get this is another one that kind of moved up and down at the time, but ultimately I left it here.
I think that was one that pretty much stayed where it was in my ranking for the most part. I mean, there were some where I would watch it where it was like, I go by, I don't know if you do this, but I go by like a section. Like I'll look at something like Werewolf of London. Okay, I like this one less than that, but more than this.
Me too.
So that's kind of where it gets tucked in.
Exactly.
So, let's see. Number 28.
Yep.
I have The Mummy's Curse.
Oh wow! Holy shit! Okay.
Yeah. And I'll tell you why. And
I'm only surprised just because at the time when we watched this, you were like having a fucking blast with it.
I did. Like I said, there are no duds, and
Yeah,
I
but
like
you were like really, you were
I know.
really enjoying it.
The thing about it is I think I was over the sequels having the same premise.
Yeah.
Of course, this is the one. Now, did this one have Lon Chaney Jr. or The Mummy's Hand? Because it's been a while.
This one has Lon Chaney Jr. He starts in Tomb, goes in Ghost, and then Curse.
Yeah, and Hand had somebody different, right?
Yeah, Hand was different. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I think everything with the tea leaves and everything started to bother me.
Okay.
And it's going to be a weird reason, but if you're constantly bringing them back the same way, it's not showing. It's showing continuity, but it's not showing enough imagination for me. I wanted there to be a different type of premise. Like he's always getting brought back by the same thing and trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So
at least this time he was in the Louisiana Bayou.
yeah. But I think at this point I was just like,
I agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I came in at number 28. That one did move around a lot for me, but that's kind of where it ended up. So what's your number 28, Joe?
My number 28 is The Invisible Woman.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, for the same reasons you said, it's definitely the most comedic of the bunch. And I mean, I would even say that even includes the Abbott and Costello movies. Like those at least have some kind of like fear to them. Like, okay, like, meeting Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster and Dracula and all that. There's some kind of like threat in the Abbott and Costello movies. Right. Whereas The Invisible Woman, there was really no threat. It really did feel like a sitcom story.
That was the one with the gangsters, though, wasn't it?
This is the one with is it Shemp in this one? Yeah,
Shemp. Yeah.
He's in Invisible Woman. I thought this was so again. I mean, they're the threat, but it's not like a monster's the threat. Like the Invisible Woman herself was just like the hero in a way. I mean, she's like the she's the protagonist of the film. I do think it was cool that they had a little bit of fun with it, like the fact that she had to be naked to be invisible.
Yeah.
So it's like the way they sort of like edited the movie so that way she's literally like naked, but you can't see anything because of the way it's. I thought that was kind of clever.
I did too.
Yeah.
Let's see. Number 27. Not too far from yours is Werewolf of London.
Okay.
I will reiterate. I think this is one of the most underrated films in the entire franchise that unfortunately got overshadowed by Lon Chaney Jr. and rightfully so. I mean, the Wolfman just has that brilliant atmosphere and everything like that, and the guy's just so damn likable. But that's for that one. This one, I guess it just didn't catch on yet. But like you said, I like the design of the werewolf. I like the story. I like the London kind of town in a way. Mm-hmm. And I thought overall it was a solid film. Kind of disappointed that it came before. I think it would have done well if it came after.
I agree.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's number 27. What's your 27, Joe?
My 27 is The Mummy's Hand. So, this one, again, I had it a little bit lower originally.
Yeah.
The reason why I moved it up is because this is the one that introduces one of my favorite storylines in the entire universe. Because the one that follows literally picks up from this one.
Yeah.
And without this one, you wouldn't have some of my favorite sequels later on. So, I feel the exact same way that you do about it. The whole Abbott and Costello ripoff.
Yeah.
A lot of this movie was a little bit too comedic for me, like through most of it, through like the first half anyway. And it was a shorter movie that felt a little bit longer than it is for some reason. Just because I felt like we were waiting a long time to get to the mummy and stuff.
Yes.
And we actually see more of the mummy than we do in the original Mummy film, but it doesn't happen until like much later on.
Yeah, it was the
So-
getting there, and I think, they weren't as funny as Abbott and Costello, so
Yeah.
that kind of, that kind of pushed it back a little teeny bit. And it also felt like it was another Hold That Ghost. For some reason, it reminded me a little bit of Hold That Ghost.
I can see that.
Yeah, maybe it was the ship, the big packages that they had in the wood and everything.
Yep.
So I don't know, but
All right.
and then number 26 hurts my feelings.
Okay.
Because I wanted to rank it a lot higher, I just couldn't.
Oh boy.
And that is The She-Wolf of London.
Okay.
I love this movie. I want to give away the ending so bad, but I'm not going to.
Mm-hmm.
But there are movies that have mirrored that sort of film. I'll say that.
You want to hear something weird?
I thought it was so clever. Yeah.
I originally had this here.
26?
I remember having it because the only reason I remember this is because of where I moved it.
Yeah.
I remember what I had it underneath and then what I moved it above. So I literally had this in the exact same spot at one point. It's not far.
I couldn't.
It's not far, but I did move it up just because the ending. I mean, the ending really did help it.
Oh my God, the ending is so good, and she is so cute. She was so cute when she was young.
June Lockhart was awesome in this.
Yes, she was. Yes, she was.
I think this, like the Wolfman, this has one of the best atmospheres in the whole universe for me.
Yep.
I fucking love the atmosphere.
Ton of fog.
It's so good, and I think even though this was mirrored later on, the fact that this came first, and the fact that this was so ahead of its time, with the twist. I mean, it's not even a reveal; it's a twist.
Yep.
And the ending is like, whoa, like it's just so good.
It got me right from there. And usually when I see something newer that I maybe like a lot, I'll maybe put the older one on the back burner that I don't like as much.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that this twist got me so beside myself that I was just like, wow, this movie is freaking awesome. That's why it kind of hurts my feelings that I have it so low.
Yeah.
But
well, like I said, I had it here and I moved it up only a couple spots, so you'll see.
Yeah. What's your number 26, Joe?
My number 26 is Son of Dracula. Okay. I think overall, you'll see the Dracula movies are probably my least favorite of all of them, like as a whole, like that series within the Universal Monster movies, just because of where they end up being ranked.
Collectively, collectively, you're right.
Exactly. So this is where they sort of start for me here. I don't really know what to say about this one, even the next one that comes after this. There's really nothing there's no big reason why it's here. It's just that I like the others more.
Yeah. I get it.
I do like Lon Chaney as Dracula in this. I thought that was cool.
Me too.
He's a good Dracula. I like the setting of this one. They have like the swamp nearby and stuff. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
That stood out to me. But other than that, it sort of gets a bit forgettable for me.
Yeah.
As opposed to some of the others.
When I was telling you about the documentary, and when I talked about it somewhere, but I said that I was going to watch it, and I finally did. Do you know that they said that they have the only Dracula without a mustache? And he did.
Yeah.
Lon Chaney had a mustache in that movie.
I was going to say.
I was like, what the hell is Universal saying?
He definitely has a mustache.
Yes. It's like one of those little, little thin.
But he has a mustache for sure.
Yeah. But that's what they said on the. I was like, wait a minute. Did I miss something?
Mm-hmm.
That's what they said on the documentary about Universal monsters.
That's cool, Leslie. Yeah.
Hey, Leslie.
What do you got for 25?
25 is Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy.
Okay.
Now, the reason why this is
not far
so low is because this was, of course, the last one with Abbott and Costello.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seemed like less of everything. Even, I'll go as far as to say, even less of Bud Abbott and Lou Costello. Because you didn't get them at their best in this. You didn't get the animation. And and it wasn't like as clever as the other two were.
Yeah.
They definitely took, like, from Frankenstein to The Invisible Man, took a big jump. Well, not a huge jump, but a big enough jump. And then in The Mummy, the last one, I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
Should they have really made this one?
I remember you saying that while we were watching.
Yeah. Yeah. It just took a big jump for me. And I wanted to put She-Wolf of London above that. But just the fact that it's Abbott and Costello, I couldn't live with myself doing that. It's weird. I don't know. I like them. I like them a lot, but
I get it. Yeah.
that movie's just it's all right. It still has funny spots. And I remember you and I talking, we loved the set pieces in it.
Oh, I love the set pieces.
The deserts and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
They're great.
But it just wasn't enough for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But that's it. Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy. What's your number 25?
Number 25. And like I said about Son of Dracula, I don't really know what to say about it. I have House of Dracula. This for me is maybe the most forgettable on this entire list. Now, it's not to say anything bad about it. I just honestly can't remember too much about it.
I feel you. I do.
I really don't remember much about it. It's weird. Like I know you got Carradine. I know you got Carradine. I mean, you got. I think this is Glenn Strange's Frankenstein.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah.
But
it's coming back to me now.
I don't remember much of the premise for this.
Yeah.
I really don't. I don't know why. And it just didn't resonate with me as much as a lot of the other movies. In
watching your review, I will say that as I was watching your review, because I did very minute overviews of it, like the synopsis, because I figured most people had seen these.
Yeah.
But when I was listening to your reviews, they would come back to me. And I remember you saying it was almost like two movies. Like you had the whole Dracula thing in the beginning. And then it kind of moves off into the Frankenstein werewolf sort of thing.
I think that's House of Frankenstein, not House of Dracula.
Was that House of Frankenstein?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Right,
see what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Yeah. This is. Yeah, all I remember is I remember at the end they were all in the lab, like Glenn Strange, Frankenstein's monsters laying there, and then you have is this the one where Boris Karloff is trying to get the information about Frankenstein's monster? Sort of the irony that he originally was Frankenstein's monster. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the one. And Carradine's Dracula.
He wasn't in it long. I remember that. Carradine's Dracula.
Carradine is Dracula. That's in the House of Frankenstein. He's not in it long.
But then what was he in this one?
Because this is House of Dracula, so he's got to be in it.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that makes sense.
That's what I'm saying. So you see my point. This is why I have it where I have it.
It is forgettable.
I obviously had it higher than these others for a reason. So I obviously liked it enough to have it as high that I ranked it. But for the life of me, and you know what's funny? When I was looking at this list today, I get to that one and I was like, shit, maybe I should go back and watch my review because I don't remember this one. And I didn't do it.
And I did and still forgot.
Yeah, it's just the most forgettable for me on the list.
Yeah. All right, number 24. Now we got that straightened out.
Yeah.
I have The Mummy.
Okay.
I love The Mummy. I do. But like I said, when I watched it, I really enjoyed it this time. Mm-hmm. And then when I thought about it, it didn't impress me as much, which is weird because I obviously ranked it a little bit later in the day than when I watched it.
Yeah.
And there was just not enough mummy action in it for me.
Okay.
So that's kind of why it ended up at number 24. I mean, I love Boris Karloff, but The Mummy is very little in the film, very little. So it has never been a favorite of mine, and that's kind of where it ended up. Okay. So number 24.
Number 24, I have She-Wolf of London.
No, that's good actually.
So, yeah, I mean, for exactly what we said. I mean, for me, the atmosphere is huge. Love June Lockhart in it. She really was. She was super cute in this. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't. It's like I always think of her as like the mother from Lassie. Yep. And like, I mean, I've seen her in a ton of other things, obviously, over the years. But that's always one of the first things I think of is the mom in Lassie. Yeah. And she's always like a grandmother in like Step by Step and 90210.
Yeah.
She's Donna's grandmother.
Yes.
So it's like she's
That's
always
right.
like these main characters' grandmothers in all these other shows over the years. But to see her this young and like looking this good was like, whoa, this is pretty cool. You know?
And
But
she's actually one of the only still living members.
Yeah.
Unless it's been something happened and I don't know about it.
but she's pretty awesome in it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Then like I said, the twist ending.
The twist is just brilliant. Brilliant.
It's so ahead of its time. So,
Yep.
like I said, that was I wasn't satisfied where I had it, and it just kept sitting here. And I was like, oh, and I was looking at Son of Dracula and House of Dracula, and I'm like, I barely even remember these two. Meanwhile, I can't stop thinking about that damn twist in She-Wolf of London.
Yeah.
So that's what did it for me at the time. I remember literally moving it up a few spots just because of that.
You're not going to be happy with my next pick.
Oh boy.
Dracula's Daughter, number 23. I was not the biggest fan of this movie.
It's not too far.
Yeah, I mean, I was just, I don't know, for some reason, because, okay, I'll just go with number 24 is, or no, number 23 is Dracula's Daughter. Jesus Christ, I can't even say it. I liked it, but I don't know, it just, I remember you telling me that there was a lot of controversy.
Well, this is like I said, this is another one we should watch again for controversial view because of it's a lesbian rape scene.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe I was expecting more. Maybe I remembered it wrong when I watched it years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. I just wasn't all overly impressed. Yeah, Dracula definitely takes a dive for me.
Okay.
In yeah, most of his films are going to be kind of low. So yeah, Dracula's Daughter in at number 23. I don't know. I just wouldn't. I can see where they got Vampirella. I can see where they got Elvira. You know, basically from her look and stuff. But yeah, it just didn't do much for me.
Okay.
Number 23.
I have Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy.
Nice.
Again, same thing, same reasons you point out. By then, it was just sort of like felt like it was just sort of done, you know. And
yeah,
I do love the sets. That's why it's as high as it is for me. I really did love those sets. There's some good stuff in it. It does have its funny moments. It's still Abbott and Costello after all, but you know, of the Abbott and Costello movies, well, it's definitely got to be the bottom for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a little bit just kind of lost a little bit of its charm. Yeah. So I started to think that maybe I was going to change my ranking, but I'm not touching it because I obviously felt this way then.
Yep.
So number 22 is Son of Dracula for me.
Okay.
And I don't remember why.
Yeah. See,
apparently, I was thinking of House of Frankenstein.
I sort of felt like that too. It's just a kind of forgettable one. I know he's marrying the sister and all that. There's a fire in it.
Yeah.
The other boyfriend, the other guy that's in love with the sister is like with them. But I don't remember this. There's not a ton that I remember about it. I remember the swamp nearby.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Overall, it's fairly forgettable. I'm like, why did I like that more than Dracula's Daughter? I don't know. Yeah. But I must have at the time.
Yep.
What's your number 22?
My number 22 is Abbott and Costello Meet the Invisible Man.
No. Oh. Okay.
Yeah. This is an interesting one in that. So Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. I feel like obviously it's like comedy, but there are some really cool horror elements in it too.
Yes.
Like I said, there's a good threat there.
Yep.
With the threat, and this one, it's not like that. It's like
that's true.
You know, again, it goes to that sort of like almost like a gangster kind of storyline, like the opposing boxer and this and that, and
that was the go-to.
It's
I think
fun.
Back then.
It's super fun. I don't know. I mean, Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy, I obviously had lower than this, but at least it has the mummy as like the monster, whereas the Invisible Man in this, I don't know. It doesn't feel like as horror esque as the others. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
The horror element isn't quite as there as the other two.
Yeah, I get that.
But I mean, I liked it a lot. Had a lot of fun with it. It's just I couldn't see putting it any higher.
Yeah. All right, number 21. I remember you and I talking about this. House of Dracula. For some reason, they all bunched up together for me.
Yep.
Some of the movies were that way because some of them are very, very similar. And I mean, I liked House of Dracula. It was fun. But like Son of Dracula, and I'm not saying that Dracula's daughter is forgettable, because I don't really think it is. But unfortunately, House of Dracula is not that far off from Son of Dracula for me. And it just
that's why I had them like that. They sort of just fall together.
Yeah. So that's pretty much why.
Okay.
Your number 21?
21, I have The Invisible Man's Revenge.
No. Actually, it's not far off.
I went back and forth with this one and then the one that follows this.
Returns, right?
No, I'm saying on my list.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm saying like these two, I could kind of like have one over the other. I can kind of switch places with these if I wanted to.
Yeah.
They're very close for me. This is the one with the dog, right?
Yeah.
Invisible dog.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really, I love the Invisible Man franchise as a whole. Despite having, already, this is now the third Invisible Man movie here on the list, but I really do like them. I like how they all sort of do something different.
Yeah.
You have the war superhero one with the Invisible Agent. You have the comedic one with the Invisible Woman.
Yep.
You have this one where it really returned to his roots, where he's just like an asshole, the Invisible Man. Like he's like a legitimate bad guy who becomes the Invisible Man, which I think is cool. That's what I really liked about this one. I like the whole how he kind of returns and kind of blackmailing everybody, Yeah. So yeah, but again, I could swap this one with the one above it, depending on my mood. But for now, I'll
Returns, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
But go on.
Yeah. Number 20 is Ghost of Frankenstein.
Okay.
I liked all the Frankenstein movies as well. Some more than others, of course. This and the next one, once again, kind of bunched up for me. It wasn't until another movie happened that it kind of defined itself for me.
Okay.
And you'll learn more about that when I say my number 19. Yeah. Got it. Number 20.
Well, number 20, I have The Invisible Man Returns.
Okay.
And again, I could go back and forth with this and Revenge, but Vincent Price kind of did it for me with this one. Yeah. I think he's awesome as the Invisible Man. Obviously, he makes an appearance later on in another movie as the Invisible Man, which I think is cool. But this was, this was his first time doing it. This one, for some reason, is memorable for me. I think about this one quite often.
Yeah.
I just really like him in that role. Like he has that voice. So it's like this. He has this undeniable voice. So even when he's like not on screen, when you literally can't see him because he's invisible, he's like he has that presence. And that's why I really love him as the Invisible Man. And I love the ending of this one where like that effect of him like vanishing and you see like the veins and stuff like that.
That was really cool. They had really great effects.
I used that for my thumbnail. This one.
Yeah.
So that's what I have at number 20.
Okay. My number 19 is Son of Frankenstein.
Okay.
Son of Frankenstein and Ghost of Frankenstein to me were a little bit when the series started getting a little similar, I guess. Because those
are the two Bela Lugosi movies.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. And I thought that they kind of belonged together. I love Igor. I think he's awesome.
Listen, they do because when I come to mind on my list, they're right next to each other.
Yeah. 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 So that's what I have as number 19. I like both of those movies. I thought that they were fantastic. But there's a lot of the other ones that I like more. So
okay.
Yeah.
Number 19 for me. Ready for this?
What?
Dracula.
Really?
Yep.
Not
like
the
I
Spanish
said,
version.
nope, regular American Dracula, the first movie we watched in this whole thing. The first,
Really?
yeah. Listen, I like it. Of course, I would say I love it. I love Dracula.
Yeah,
I
me
do.
too.
But and you know, honestly, going into it, I wouldn't have expected Dracula to be like my least favorite Universal monster overall. Like I said, you know, altogether as a franchise. But
Yeah.
that's just the way that it ended up, and I was like, huh, you know,
For me too. It
I'm
took a
not
big hit.
as big a fan of it as I thought I was. Like I still love it, but compared to the others, it's just not my favorite. I appreciate what they did with a lot of look, you know, there's the dog running across the lawn and this and that, and it's like a lot of it is just like said, and you can't really even see anything.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that they did that, but at the same time, there's not a whole lot that really happens. You know, you
Yeah.
get the cool effect of him walking through the cobweb, but other than that, you don't really have a lot here.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
When you watched Spanish Dracula, did that change your tone of Dracula in general?
It did. And
Did for me too.
Yeah, I'll talk about that when I get to Spanish
Yep.
Dracula.
Because I remember liking the story so much more.
Mhm.
And I don't mind, you know, foreign films, you know that. But it really changed the way I looked at Dracula. I mean, of course, I love Bela Lugosi, don't get me wrong, but it really changed things for me. And we'll talk about that a little bit later, but yeah. Number 18 is The Invisible Man's Revenge.
Okay, so it wasn't far off.
No, not far off at all. Like you said, I like the fact that he's an asshole. I like the fact that he was a little bit more like Claude Rains than anybody else in the entire franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And with me, Returns can't really be interchangeable because of Vincent Price. So I hate to say that too because of one actor, but it's just his dominance of the film. Yeah. So that's kind of why Revenge kind of falls a little bit lower for me.
That makes sense, yeah.
And number 17 will tell you a little bit more about it. So yeah. No, you're number 18?
Spanish Dracula.
No way.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's, you know, I like it more, obviously, and actually I like it quite a deal more
Me
than
too.
the American Dracula. But it's still Dracula.
Yeah, I know.
And at the end of the day, there's another one I had a couple spots higher, but I was like, you know, for the most part, it still is Dracula. Although this would be my go-to now. I mean, I really do like Spanish Dracula more than the American Dracula.
Me too.
And
like I can't believe it was lost until 1977. Can you believe that?
And like you said, I have nothing against foreign films at all.
Yeah, exactly.
There is part of me that wishes that it was in English because I think it would get more attention.
Yeah.
From people that don't watch it specifically because it's the Spanish version.
I appreciated the fact that they did that though.
You know, I do too. I do, but I'm saying for everybody else, it would be cool if there was like a dubbed version where people could go and watch and say, huh, because, you know, Spanish Dracula had the benefit of being able to see what wasn't working during the day with American Dracula and fixing it at night.
Absolutely.
And also the fact that it was being filmed at night. Yeah. So you have this extra level of atmosphere to it because this was you know, it was literally filmed in the middle of the night. So, you know, you don't, any shot that's in the light is from like manufactured lighting. Like there are no daytime shots in the movie because of when it had to be filmed. Hey, Echo.
Hey, Echo.
So for me, I preferred Spanish Dracula quite a bit. I'm glad we ended on that one. It was really,
me too.
Really nice ending to it because it's a really impressive film.
Yeah, it is.
And
the set pieces are gorgeous in that.
Yeah, definitely. I loved Renfield in this too.
Yes.
I mean, there was so much that I preferred in Spanish Dracula to the American.
Yeah.
And you know, like you said, I mean, obviously Bela Lugosi is Dracula.
Right.
But with that being said, I like that the Spanish actor did his own thing with the role.
Yep.
It helps that he wasn't trying to impersonate Bela Lugosi.
Yep.
So you literally get two different versions of the character, which is really cool.
And it was the same year too. So impressive.
Exactly.
So impressive.
So you're not like comparing and contrasting so much because you get a whole different adaptation.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. All right. My number 17 is The Invisible Agent.
Okay.
I'm a fan of superhero movies, always have been. I'm a fan of comic books, always have been. And this movie just hit right for me. It's been a long time since I've seen it. A long time. But the spy stuff and you know what it kind of reminded me of a little bit was, did you ever see Captain America, the First Avenger?
Yes. Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of that a little bit.
Yeah. And as the thing, I really do like the storyline. It's a smart storyline to do with the Invisible Man. It's like, it almost makes you wonder why this wasn't like the first idea for it.
Right.
It's like,
I'm glad it wasn't, though. I'm glad it wasn't.
I am too, but it's so clever. I mean, it seems like the likely move to make.
They were very close. The Invisible Man is very close to my favorite Universal monster. If Revenge and Returns weren't as similar as they are, I think it may be my favorite Universal monster, because there's more of the series and they do something different with everything.
Yeah.
Except for those two movies.
Yeah.
But yeah. What's your number 17, Joe?
All right. My number 17 is The Mummy.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
My thought was with The Mummy was, when I tried to keep in mind when we were watching it, because I was trying to rank them as we were watching them and not change too much after the fact. There were a few, like I said, that I did flop around a little bit.
Yeah.
But I was keeping in mind going into that one, I don't know if it was the low expectations or not, but we really were having a good time with that one.
Yeah.
I mean, and that was coming off of Dracula and then Frankenstein, and we were like, damn. Like, at that moment, we were both like, you know what, this is going to be our number one right now. We both had it like above those two.
Yep.
And then obviously over time that changed, but at least for me, with it's still above Dracula, but obviously not above Frankenstein. But at the time, we really were like, wow, you know what, this is actually really well done. Yeah, we don't get a lot of The Mummy, but at the same time, there's something to appreciate about that, I guess, because at least we get more of The Mummy later on in sequels. Yeah. So in the first one, it's like, okay, it's like getting not enough of Freddy or Michael in the first Halloween and Elm Street.
Oh, we can't have that now, right? Can't have that.
I mean, think about it. I mean, you got 10 minutes of Michael in the original Halloween, and everyone complains about having more of Michael in Halloween.
I know.
Hey, Casey. So it's one of those things. It's one of those things.
I get it.
But yeah, I that's what I was trying to keep in mind when I ranked that one, and that's why I have it here.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely get it. And I think, like I said before, you're using Boris Karloff, and maybe that's why we didn't get as much Mummy action, because of his look. They were capitalizing on his look.
Yep.
So, yeah. Let's see. My number 16 is House of Frankenstein. Okay. And that was pretty much because of, and that's the one with Carradine as Frankenstein. He dies in the beginning, right?
And in the beginning, yeah, and then it turns into the Frankenstein and Wolfman story. Right.
And I like that. I like the fact that he was trying to get cured. I mean, he's always really trying to get cured, but I guess more so in that one, he seemed like a little bit more of a sympathetic character.
This is also the one, yeah. This is also the one with the traveling carnival, the carnival.
Yes.
That's why this one, the Chamber of Terrors or whatever it is.
Yeah. And I like the fact, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love him as the Wolfman, right? Mm-hmm. He still is the Wolfman, but you don't have as much Wolfman. You get to let Lon Chaney kind of shine more as an actor.
Yep.
So that's why it's higher than, well, not higher than any other Frankenstein movie, but higher than a lot of the other ones. It kind of separated itself for me from that. Plus the monster mashup. I mean, you got to love it.
Yeah.
So, what's your number 16?
My number 16 is Dracula's Daughter. So, obviously, this is my favorite Dracula movie.
It says a lot, Joe.
It always has been. I mean, for some reason, this is one I remember watching when I was younger. And obviously back then I didn't get the subtle clue that, there was that lesbian rape scene. but there was just always something about it that was sort of off to me that was like in a good way.
Yeah.
Like there was something just different about it. I think I also like the fact that it's the only female Dracula movie we get.
That's true. Yeah.
Now coming from me, you know how I feel about that stuff usually. I hate when like male characters get like
but this one was explained off pretty well, I think. I really do.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
They did a really good job of establishing the story of why it was
done
this way. And I almost feel like she has the charm of Dracula, but she also has a bit more, I don't know how to explain it, like a bit more of a threat to her.
Yeah.
Like, Dracula is like that charming character, obviously, that's how he gets close to the women.
Like, she's learning though.
Like this bitch is like, she is like, it's like hell hath no fury.
Yes.
Like, she is like attracting men and women. And, I mean,
that was not accepted back then. So
yeah, I mean,
they took a big chance with that.
Like she rapes a woman victim. Like it's just, I don't know. For me, it just, that stands out at a time back then. Like, talk about being ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's true.
It's just, when a movie's controversial like that back then, it really stands out to me. And I always felt like there was something off about it. And, watching it now, I understand why I always liked it. I like that it picks off immediately after the original Dracula ends too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is really cool. Like it really picks off like right then, like after the staking scene and all that. So I love that as well. And again, you have the atmosphere. It's a really atmospheric movie.
Well, I think the lesbian rape and Frankenstein killing the little girl were probably the two biggest no-nos in the entire franchise.
Yep.
Which I find interesting because, well, you know me, a lot of people probably won't want to hear this, but I love it when kids get killed in horror movies. I love it.
Well, but yeah, because it means no
one is safe.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, there's nothing off limits. Exactly.
Yes. I mean, I don't really want a kid to get killed, but
Well, it's a movie.
Yeah, I do like it in horror movies. That lets me know that it's on. Yeah, it's on. So
like in Christmas Bloody Christmas when he kills that kid.
Oh yeah. I tell you another movie that impressed me with a killing of a kid was Dark Age too, the crocodile movie.
Oh yeah.
I was like, get the hell out. I can't believe that was and Jaws as well.
Yep.
Yeah, so yeah. All right. Number 15. My number 15 is The Mummy's Ghost.
Okay.
My favorite is, of course, yet to be. Well, yeah, my favorite is yet to be named, of course, but I like The Mummy's Ghost. I thought it was pretty good. I was happy that I found the VHS for you.
Love it.
And I mean, it was. I like Lon Chaney Jr. as the Mummy. I just think they're fun movies. But the one that's the furthest up, the one that I haven't mentioned yet, just really, really impressed me.
Yeah, really. I didn't know what that was going to be. And yeah, it's going to be high for me too, is obviously.
Yeah, it's just so good. So yeah, that's number 15. What's your number 15, Joe?
I have Frankenstein.
Oh, really?
Now, keep in mind, this is the first Frankenstein movie to appear on my list so far.
That's true. So that's actually true.
It shows you I'm a big fan of the Frankenstein franchise. And I think I realize why more than ever watching it this time with you.
How come?
First of all, Frankenstein is probably the series that I've watched the most over the years.
That makes sense.
Also, it is, and they've confirmed this, filmmakers and stuff, especially the new Halloween trilogy. Frankenstein is a huge influence for the Halloween franchise.
Go figure.
Like incredibly so. I mean, Son of Frankenstein, which you mentioned, and which I'll mention when I get to it. It is Halloween Ends.
Yeah.
Like it is like Halloween Ends is not just Christine. It is Christine meets Son of Frankenstein meets
Halloween 3.
And I mean, anybody who watches Son of Frankenstein will know that. Like it's exactly that. But anyway, yeah, Frankenstein for me. I mean, as the sequels go on, you realize, holy shit! Like this, like Halloween borrows so much from Frankenstein. And you don't think of Frankenstein franchise as a slasher franchise because it's Frankenstein's monster, but honestly, the way it plays out, it follows the slasher formula. You know, you
I'm
have
thinking about
this.
what you're saying now.
You have this. You have this monster that's doing the killing, but it really is like he's. What is the difference? Like Michael Myers like dies, or Jason dies, or Freddy dies and comes back to life and does it.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
it's the same freaking thing. Like Frankenstein really shapes the slasher genre for the future, in my opinion. And I feel like it's very clear when you watch the sequels. Hey, Bones.
yeah, I do agree with you. And plus, I mean, when you have kills, the whole mob with the fire. Yeah, I mean, you're
Yeah,
right about that. You are right. You are right.
It's like dead on. It really is. I mean, a lot of my review of Son of Frankenstein, I talked about that. I spent
Yeah,
most of my Son of Frankenstein review talking about how similar it was to Halloween Ends. And I dared everybody to tell me, like, does that mean Son of Frankenstein is a piece of shit? Is that dumpster fire? And is that trash like everybody says
exactly.
Halloween Ends is? Because I highly doubt people would feel that way.
Right.
People are going to watch
Yeah,
Son of
you're right.
Frankenstein and say, oh, it's a classic sequel. Why the fuck isn't Halloween Ends? It's the same damn thing. But like I said, I'll get to that more when I get to Son of Frankenstein. For now, Frankenstein is there. It's the
Yeah,
one that
you're
started
right.
it all. I love Frankenstein, and even just because it's ranked here doesn't mean that I don't love it. I fucking love Frankenstein, and
That's fucked up.
you know,
You're so right about that, though.
it's true. It
I
really
really
is.
didn't think of it like that. But I do think about that sometimes. I mean, I was watching Vincent Price movies the other day. I watched The Conqueror Worm, and I watched oh shit, what was it? The Haunted Palace, right?
Yep.
And the people coming with torches, I looked over at her, and I don't even think she was paying attention to me. And I was like, oh, there's cancel culture right there.
Yep.
Crazy, I tell you.
Yep.
20,000 years later, we've come no further.
We're going backwards.
All right. All right. My number 14 is going to be Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
I still like Dracula a lot. I like the darkness. I like the set pieces. And other than another movie that's coming up, I do believe it has a ton of atmosphere as well.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I like Bela Lugosi. I really do. I will say, even though I ranked the movies lower, I did like him a little bit more as Igor. I think he had more personality. He was more likable in a bad guy way.
I agree, obviously. I mean, where I'm ranked, you know.
But I do love Dracula, though. I don't know. It's just there's just something about it. There's something about his charisma coming down the stairs and talking to people. And
yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like
he's just brilliant.
I still love it, even though I had it as low as I did. But
yeah,
I just enjoy these other movies more than
yeah.
Dracula.
I mean, I get it. I definitely get it. But like it starts to take a hold of me, you know, right around the 10-15 minute mark. I'm like, wow. So yeah. What's your number 14?
All right, 14 I have House of Frankenstein.
Okay. Not too far off of mine.
Yeah. So again, this is the one where you have Dracula for like the first half hour and then he's dead. And then you have it in like a Frankenstein. Again, this is the whole chain. This is the traveling carnival.
Yeah.
That alone is going to make it rank high for me.
Oh,
I
definitely.
love that. Yeah, I you know, it's like a road movie. It's like a road for most of it.
Yeah.
Really, really enjoyed this one. Yeah, I mean, nothing else really to say that you haven't said already when you were talking about it, but
yeah, it's a good movie.
It's
really is.
Mr. What is it? Professor Lampini, Chamber of Terrors. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, number 13. I got Frankenstein meets the Wolfman.
Okay.
We got our monster mashup, and it of course it does not disappoint. Not me anyway.
No, it's fucking great.
It's so freaking satisfying.
It's Freddy versus Jason before Freddy versus Jason.
Yep. Which allowed us to have Freddy versus Jason. Right.
And again, it's another similarity. Think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you have these two classic horror, franchises clashing, and they sort of do it the same way. You have like these multiple battles between the two.
Yep.
With the surrounding
Kong
story.
versus Godzilla too.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It is. It's an iconic film. You know, it's your basic monster mashup. You're waiting for the title card to come in, you know, and it just does not disappoint. I mean, everybody, I'm sure, like myself, would wish that the whole thing was just them beating the crap out of each other.
But it's satisfying
But
when they
it's not
are.
realistic though.
It's satisfying
So,
when they are. It's not like you wait for it and then nothing. It's like, oh god, that's it. Like
as realistic as Jamie Lee Curtis and a 60-year-old Michael Myers fighting the entire time.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Geriatric battle.
Exactly. They hit each other with their canes and their walkers and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Strangle him with his oxygen. Like, Jesus.
It's time, Michael.
How come they didn't fight more?
Yeah. What the hell? Okay. I'm as close to 60 as anyone around the most of the horror community, and I'm telling you right now, I got about 5 minutes in me. So,
Yeah.
All right. Number 12? I think we're at number 12, aren't we? Did you do your number 13?
What movie were we just talking about?
I did Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. It was
okay, so I'm next. So I'm next. All right. So
okay.
The Ghost of Frankenstein is next for me.
Nice.
Yeah, so Ghost of Frankenstein is the follow-up to Son of Frankenstein. So this has Bela Lugosi again as Igor. This is the one I remember with the little girl.
Yes.
And Frankenstein's in town. Frankenstein's monster in town. Again, this is another one that has a really big slasher vibe for me because it's like,
does.
The whole city is like worried about his return. It's like Michael Myers returning to Haddonfield. Frankenstein's monster has returned to the village, and everyone's losing their shit over it.
Yeah.
Hey, Rob.
Hey, Rob.
Yeah, I like this one a lot. Again, it goes back to what I said about Frankenstein sort of being like that setup for the slasher franchises to follow.
Definitely.
This one has a strong slasher vibe for me. And I just, in comparison to the other Frankenstein movies yet to come, I kind of had it here in between House and then what comes next.
Yeah. I mean, I get that. Yeah. I also love the story about Lon Chaney Jr. buying the kids ice cream.
Yeah.
There's a reason, and I'm going to say it right now. I mean, he's my favorite Universal Monster actor.
Me too.
Yeah. I mean, and that's just the reason.
He's my favorite Universal Monster actor, and he's also my favorite. He also plays my favorite Universal Monster character.
Yes. No, not for me, but I get what you mean.
Not necessarily monster, but character.
Right. Well, I don't know. He did so much for all of them. He really did. He put his own stamp on every single one.
I'm just saying, there's one certain character that makes an appearance in a lot of these movies.
Yeah.
That I love that character.
Yeah, I do too.
I feel for him.
I do too.
All right. What do you got?
Number 12, The Invisible Man Returns. Not surprising because Vincent Price.
Yeah.
I like that it took place. That was the one that took place directly after the original. And I like the fact that they kind of carried it over. Of course, I also like the fact that Vincent Price makes a brief cameo in a different movie as well. There's just something about his voice that I can listen to, even though you don't see him throughout half the movie.
Yeah.
His voice is still there. So, I don't know. He's just got so much class and still one of my favorite actors of all time.
Yeah.
So, and I like the story, even though I thought that Revenge was a little too close to it.
But this came first, so
yeah, I do like Returns a lot better.
Yeah.
I like the fact that, like I said, I like the fact that they went right from the original.
Me too.
So
I love that it connects. It's not just
Yes.
some random,
Yep. So yeah, that's my number 12. What's your number 12?
Number 12 is Son of Frankenstein.
Oh no.
So yeah, this is one of the longer movies too in the whole universe.
Yeah.
And this one is just, I mean, you and this is one I will never forget watching with you because you and I
Yeah.
were both like, wow.
Yeah.
Like this is really well done.
Yeah.
Because and again, it does have a lot to do with me and you both loving Halloween Ends.
Yeah.
And we watched it during a time when we were
Pissed
a
off.
lot of hate about Halloween Ends.
Yep.
Hey Hobbs.
Hey, what's up, Hobbs?
So watching Son of Frankenstein and seeing how much it is like Halloween Ends, or how much Halloween Ends is like Son of Frankenstein, obviously since it came first, it made me pissed off even more because it's like I was just saying a little while ago.
Yeah.
People like, okay, so if people love Son of Frankenstein, why do they not love Halloween Ends? Like, it's the same thing. You don't
Yeah.
get Frankenstein's monster until way late into the movie. Like, you
That's
see
true.
like appearances of him every now and then, just like in Halloween Ends, and you don't see him until like the last, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes where he's actually doing something, because most of the time he is laying there. The same way
Yeah.
Michael is sort of like keeping like a low profile in Halloween Ends because he's hurt. It's
Yeah.
the same thing in Son of Frankenstein. You know, Frankenstein's monster is weak at this point. That's why he needs Igor to revive him.
Yeah.
And the movie in the killer in Son of Frankenstein, the killer is Igor in Son of Frankenstein. Igor is the one murdering people to use them to revive Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah.
It's just like Corey Cunningham doing the killing because Michael can't do it. And then
And I
you know,
love the story. I love the story of
even the whole
Frankenstein.
family
Yeah.
dynamic with the son,
Yep.
the son coming in and stuff. It's like sort of
It's
like
a fantastic film. It really is.
it's like Laurie passing the torch to Allison in Halloween Ends. There is
Yep.
so many similarities, and again, you know, I did a bunch of research after we watched it because I was like, "There's no way that."
That was an accident, right?
Yeah, and sure enough, again, you know, the writers and you know the filmmakers of Halloween Ends said Son of Frankenstein was absolutely an inspiration for Halloween Ends. So
Actually, they have all three in Halloween. I mean,
the Frankenstein
yeah.
the Frankenstein franchise as a whole influenced that the Blumhouse trilogy of the Halloween movies.
Yeah, but Son of Frankenstein has all three of those movies in it completely.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, you have the townspeople coming in with the torches,
Yep.
misunderstood, thinking the worst of the Son of Frankenstein.
Yep.
Son of Victor Frankenstein, not Frankenstein's monster.
Yep.
And it does. It is very inspired. It's really, yeah, you're right.
It's that one to me is like a big standout. This is easily one that I think about the most.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of that, because it makes me wonder, like, what is everybody's problem? Like, at least make it make sense. You
Yeah,
know, if everybody hated Son of Frankenstein too, it'd be like, okay, well, you know what? At least they're consistent. But
yeah, but the whole thing about Halloween Ends, and I don't want to get into a whole big rant about this, but you know, none of their points made any sense.
I agree, Dan. Yeah,
None of them made any sense.
mhm.
Now she's Betty Crocker. It just, you know, shit like that just pisses me off.
Like,
And they're
she's not
just saying it for effect.
Laurie Strode isn't allowed to bake because she had something happen to her 40 fucking years ago.
Yeah, exactly. She went to a fucking. See, I'm starting to get mad again. You know, she went to a therapist, and that's what you do. You evolve like human beings evolve.
What is she supposed to do? Sit there in a fucking corner in fetal
I
position?
know. Yeah, banging the chair up against the wall like she did with Corey.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm getting mad again. So let's move on. But you're right though. It is very similar.
Rob, that is exactly what I'm saying. Michael Myers is just like Frankenstein's monster. Like Frankenstein's monster, especially in Son. Like, that's what I'm saying. Son of Frankenstein and Halloween Ends would make an amazing double feature. Because I feel like if you watch them back to back, I mean, again, you and we had to watch Halloween Ends together multiple times before we watched Son of Frankenstein. So when we watched Son of Frankenstein, it was directly after we had just watched Halloween Ends not long before. So seeing them so closely together, it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like,
I've literally watched Halloween Ends probably more than any other new movie that I have.
Me too. I mean, like Corey Cunningham, everybody's like, oh, you know, trying to call him all these other different characters in film history, but he's like the Igor.
Yeah.
Like, that's what he, you know, that's what he is. Like, he was an outcast who was accused of something, who goes on a killing spree because he's shunned by society.
Yep.
And
because of how Igor was treated by the townspeople.
Exactly. It's the same thing.
I mean, it fits so well. It does. It fits. It fits.
It's so incredible. I mean, and again, watching them back to back, it's even more. There's so many others. Like I said, in my review of Son of Frankenstein, I talk about these similarities even more.
You did.
I kind of focused on that because I was just so like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very ahead of its time, and yeah.
You know, if people were watching a Frankenstein movie, they were watching it to see Frankenstein's monster.
I'm throwing stuff.
You know, they got Son of
I get
Frankenstein.
pissed off.
They got Son of Frankenstein, and didn't see Frankenstein's monster until the last 10 minutes of the movie or so. It's gee, what is that
yeah.
like?
Yeah, imagine that. You actually saw more of Michael Myers in Halloween Ends.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what do you got next?
All right. Number 11
Yeah.
is Spanish Dracula.
Okay.
You know, 2 spaces away from the original Dracula. I do believe it's a better overall film. The only thing that holds it back from being probably higher in my count is not count. I said that. The only thing is that holds it back is Bela Lugosi. But with that being said, I do like the character that Spanish Dracula was.
And like I said, I think it's great that he didn't try to.
And they're both the same year again.
He didn't try to replicate the performance. He did his own thing, which I think is good. You know what I mean?
It's a damn shame that movie was lost until 1977.
Yep.
It's a damn shame because I think a lot of people missed out on a really good film.
I wonder how well it would have done back then.
I don't think it did real well. I think it did well in the Spanish community.
That's what I was going to say with the Spanish community.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say.
I don't think it did well here if it played at all.
That makes sense back then.
Yeah,
for those
it
times,
does.
For that time.
I mean, you're definitely creating it for a certain race.
Yep.
Or people. Or I don't even know what I'm trying to say.
Be careful now. Be careful.
I know. I'll get canceled in a heartbeat. But that's what it was for, though. That's why he did what he did.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I think the fact that it's a better version of an original classic has been overlooked for a long time.
And what's interesting is, again, you can see it online. There are plenty of people who think that. We're not alone in saying the Spanish Dracula is the better film. And I mean,
I noticed you said that in your review too.
I mean that objectively too. This is one of those cases where I'm not just saying I prefer it, and I do prefer it, but I personally think objectively, like
it's a better made film.
It's I think it's a better made film than Browning's Dracula. I do
too.
And again, a lot of that has to do with the fact that they were able to look at what Browning did during the day and fix some things during the night while they were filming. But regardless of how they did it, it's a really well shot film. It's really well done.
And the fact that they did that and they saw some stuff that could have been better and didn't just phone it in like a lot of people would have.
And the director couldn't even speak it.
Yeah, I know that was cool. Yeah, that was really cool. Exactly. There was another movie like that. I can't remember what it was. Something with Klaus Kinski. No doubt, Klaus Kinski. There was another movie like that. I can't remember what it was. It might have been a spaghetti western, but he was the only one that could translate German. Because the director didn't speak German. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what movie it is. It'll come to me eventually. What's your number 11?
My number 11 is Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman.
Hell yeah.
So like we said, this is basically Freddy versus
Monster
Jason
Mash.
Before Freddy versus Jason.
Yep.
It was so worth it. I love the setting in this too, with like the mountain and like the castle coming down and all that, and trapped in the ice. Really cool.
That's awesome.
Like it's not even just like and I said, and I even like this about Freddy versus Jason, and that I like that Freddy versus Jason has a logical storyline. As logical as you can have in a slasher film like that. Like it makes sense. Freddy has been forgotten because the medication and all this. The kids have forgotten him, so he needs Jason to do his dirty work. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
I like that.
Basically, make them fear again. Yeah,
I like that. This too. Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman has a logical storyline. It's not just let's just randomly throw these two together.
Because Frankenstein's embedded in the ice.
It's great.
Exactly. Yeah, it is. It's a great movie. It really is.
I love how it connects. This is like a really well done, connecting film. Yeah, I feel like it really sets the tone for a lot of the movies that came after it too, in all of the series, because it's like you kind of see there's all one big universe in this. It's like, okay, now anything can happen with these future films. Are we going to see Dracula? Are we going to see the Mummy? Are we going to see the Invisible Man?
It ranked higher for me as well because of that fact alone. Yep. So, yeah.
All right, top 10 now.
Top 10. And number 10 for me is The Mummy's Tomb, which is my favorite Mummy movie. Yep. And it literally blew me away. I remember when you and I watched it, it literally, both of us, we were just like, wow.
It's one of my
it had
favorites.
been years
One
since
of my
I've seen that
favorites.
movie. Oh my God, it's just so damn good.
It is a slasher film.
Yes.
Like there's no, oh yeah, it really follows the slasher. No, it doesn't follow the slasher formula. It is a slasher film.
Yeah.
Like the killer just happens to be the mummy. Again,
Lon Chaney Jr. is so damn good in that movie.
It's no different than zombie Jason killing people. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like people use the excuse, oh, a lot of people that say like slashers can't be like monsters and stuff too. Well,
yeah,
Jason's a fucking zombie from part 6 on. So
basically, yeah.
Friday the 13th.
Actually, you can even argue before that.
I mean, Freddy Krueger is dead and he's killing people. So isn't he a monster?
Yep.
I mean, he's not. You know what I mean? So it's the Mummy. The Mummy's Tomb is where it legitimately becomes a slasher franchise. I mean,
I loved it. God, I love The Mummy's Tomb. It's such a damn good movie.
Yeah.
And I never looked at it as a slasher before when I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
It took really watching it. I mean, of course, growing up as well, but, seeing so many different types of horror movies and, what is a slasher? What's not a slasher? It's just, damn, it's good.
Hobbs, if they made like something like The Mummy's Tomb today, and I would love to see like a mummy slasher, like follow the same like kind of format. I think would
Time
be awesome.
Walker is a mummy slasher.
Yeah, but I'm saying like the way it's done.
Yeah,
The Mummy's Tomb. I mean, the setting, everything about it is just spot on. What I want in a slasher film.
Oh, it's a stalking. Well, you don't really get a lot of slashing, but it's a stalk. I mean, because he's basically going after.
Well, he stalks them. He strangles them.
Yeah.
But I mean, Chucky was a strangler. So
exactly.
Instead of a killer doll, it's a killer mummy.
And Dan had mentioned something on his video before about how he prefers Hammer, and I do as well. But one of the things about Universal is the mummy moves so slow, like they kind of impede him constantly.
Yeah. Well,
that's where you get the slasher trope from, because the whole thing with Vernon, about the calisthenics and all that, where he's walking and everybody else is running.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just,
yeah,
it's funny, and it applies. It definitely applies. So, all right, what's your number 10, Joe?
My number 10 is The Mummy's Curse.
Really?
Yeah. So this is a pretty controversial movie. Talking about making movies nowadays, Hobbs.
Oh yeah.
The Mummy's Curse is definitely one we're going to be revisiting for controversial view.
It's a product of its time.
It is, yeah, it is the most racist movie on this list.
Yes.
But
definitely.
Like you just said, it's a product of its time.
Yeah.
I mean we laughed our asses off. I mean, it was funny. I mean, it is. It's
when you watch a movie like that, and another one was Hold That Ghost. Oh boy. When you watch movies like that, it's just it just makes you think of how far we've come.
Yep.
But yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I love the change of setting in it. Don't get me wrong, I love the settings in the previous 2 Mummy movies before this. But the Curse brings you to the Louisiana Bayou. Doesn't really make much sense of how all of a sudden he shows up there, but still kind of cool. The girl is absolutely gorgeous in it. I feel like the women in all these Mummy movies are gorgeous. A lot of these Universal movies in general, anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
I love the scene when she rises from the bayou and she's all covered in the mud and stuff. That's a really awesome scene. Yeah, I do. I mean, the setting's a big draw for this one. Switches things up. Yeah, it follows the same story like you said, but at least it does it in a different area. And you have a lot of sort of a lot of jokes that you can't make nowadays. So I appreciate that sort of thing, because I'm not a big fan of PC culture, as everybody knows.
Yeah, me neither.
It's a movie, it's like, if you're really offended by a movie, I don't know, don't watch it.
There's plenty of other ones to watch.
Ding, 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 light bulb goes off. There's an idea.
Turn the channel.
So, I mean, I personally, I had a blast with it.
Yeah, I liked it too.
So yeah, that's why I have it up here. What do you got for number 9?
Number 9, I have Abbott and Costello Meet the Invisible Man. Now, it was a big jump between Invisible Man and The Mummy, but like we've already discussed, they do go down in quality, in my opinion. And I mean, not so. Okay, not so much in quality. I think they go down in charm.
Yeah,
there's a lot of charm, and of course, the number one, Meet Frankenstein. Then you lose a little bit of that in Invisible Man, and then by the time you get down to the Mummy, it's like, I don't know. But you still got a fair amount of Abbott and Costello in this one, and somebody that they can't see meets it. There's a lot of jokes you can play on that. So, and I think they did it pretty well. So, yeah, that's my number 9. Abbott and Costello Meet the Invisible Man. What's your number 9?
My number 9 is The Mummy's Ghost.
Wow.
So yeah, so this one follows up another one that is a favorite of mine that I haven't reached yet. So it has that going for it. This one also has the college setting, which I think is really cool because this follows in the footsteps of The Mummy's Tomb, which this is directly follows that one.
Yeah.
And you go from having this slasher film in The Mummy's Tomb to a follow-up slasher in The Mummy's Ghost.
Yeah.
Only this time, the setting is literally on a college campus.
Yeah.
So it doesn't get much more slasher than that. I mean, how many slasher
That's
films
true.
take place on a college campus? You literally have a classic slasher film setting with the Mummy doing the same thing he was doing in The Mummy's Tomb. So
yeah, I like the story too. I just
yeah.
didn't like the fact that they always bring back with the damn tea leaves. Is like, isn't somebody going to kind of pick up on that?
I know, I get that, but it's just it's they're short, it's fun.
Yeah,
so
they are.
So yeah, I got the Mummy's
number
Ghost.
8.
Yeah,
number 8 is Bride of Frankenstein for me.
all right, so that is also my number 8. So we can
really
talk about it together. Yep.
Nice. Okay. Bride of Frankenstein probably would have been a little bit higher, but it took a little bit of a hit this time. Not that there's anything wrong with it, because I still love the film. It's just watching them all in order.
Mm-hmm.
I think I realized that there was a lot of movies I like more. Or there's actually 7 movies I like more than The Bride of Frankenstein. But the fact it's in the top 10, it's a meta horror film. I like Frankenstein's personality, where he meets a friend.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I do too. And the fact that the end is like a womp, when she doesn't want to have anything to do with it. So, yeah, I think we even did that. Womp.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did that a lot in Tales from the Crypt, though.
Yeah.
But that was definitely a womp moment.
Yeah, and for me,
I love it though.
Bride of Frankenstein has always been one of my favorites. I knew this was going to be my top 10. I thought it was actually going to be a little bit higher.
So did I.
And after watching all of them, it's like, okay, it falls here, and I get it. But yeah, I love it. I love that it's like could very well be the first ever meta horror film.
Yes.
I mean, it starts with Mary Shelley saying, "Oh no, my story's not over." I mean, the movie starts with Mary Shelley.
Yeah.
And then her talking about, okay, this is how I'm going to follow up Frankenstein. And I think that's really cool because again, it's really ahead of its time.
It's creative. It's creative as hell. Yeah.
So I really like that about it.
I do too. I like the whole meta, and that was something that was lost on me when I was younger. But I get it now.
Yeah. I truly do think it's one of the greatest horror sequels of all time. I
agree with that. I agree.
Because I feel like it's better than the original for me anyway. And obviously this is the highest Frankenstein movie I have.
Not me.
Well,
yes.
Yeah.
I got 2 above this one.
Yeah. So that's why for me it's here.
All right. My number 7 is Frankenstein.
Okay.
I like it just a little bit more than Bride of Frankenstein. There's something just so sad about the character and the visuals. And
I also want to say before Bride of Frankenstein is also the #1 rated Universal monster movie of all.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So Bride is literally the majority favorite.
Yeah, that's right too.
Yep.
And a lot of why I think I like Frankenstein better is because of nostalgia. It's probably the one I've watched the most out of all the Universal monster movies.
Yep.
Believe it or not.
It probably is for me too, to be honest.
And like I said before, the fact that he kills a little girl, a lot of people are not going to like it, but I love it. It just, even though it's by accident, it just sets the tone for that film.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole windmill thing at the end, oh my God.
I love the graveyard scenes in it
iconic.
too, like digging up the bodies in the beginning.
Yeah.
It's so atmospheric.
And it does reprise a character from one of the other Universal Monster films that's higher on my list. The annoying one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I kind of like, I don't know. But even though she's annoying, she kind of made me laugh in some parts, but annoyed me in others. But yeah, but Frankenstein is number 7 for me. What's your number 7?
Number 7, I have The Invisible Man.
I knew it.
This was higher. It just literally it only falls here because of the other movies that are above it.
Yeah.
Like there was just nowhere else for me to put this. I love it. It's another one I would literally say is a slasher film. I mean, like The Invisible Man is a slasher. You and I were watching it like, okay, yep, this is.
Oh, I love it. God, I love that movie.
It's and even with its comedic elements, it works. It has that good balance of those.
It can be funny but disturbing at the same time, which I think is really enjoyable to watch.
He's a really disturbing character overall.
Yep.
He really is. Because it's weird you like him, but then it's like, is he a villain or isn't he? It's like he's that strange sort of like anti-hero, anti-villain type character.
Which is probably what I'm going to say next is not going to please a lot of people, but I think that Kevin Bacon did a hell of a job in Hollow Man because he is also that way.
Yeah.
Whereas the newer Invisible Man, which you haven't seen, and I'm not really going to comment on it a whole lot, but that's not the case with the newer one.
Okay.
So, but Kevin Bacon really did a great job in Hollow Man. I mean, of course, he's not Claude Rains, but he did a good job.
All right.
Number 6.
Yep.
Damn. I should take a victory lap now. Abbott Costello, meet Frankenstein.
Wow, too low.
Fuck you, dude. I mean, compared to what I had it in the Fangoria, I don't know what the hell I was thinking.
Should be top 5. Get out of here. You're still wrong.
Oh, man.
That is.
I don't know what I was thinking.
It's one of the most fun movies of all time. It's so fun.
You know what I think the thing was when I watched it, and then I watched it with you in not that long of a period of time, and then I watched it again with you, and I think the time in the middle when we did it for Terror in the Isles, I guess, it wasn't. Maybe I wasn't in the mood for it.
Yeah.
But with this one, I love everything about it. It's such a fun movie.
Yeah.
I mean, the animation in the beginning is part of the charm that I was talking about before.
Yeah.
I literally wanted to put it higher, but I could not because of the movies that are higher on this list. Yeah. But I wanted to. I really did.
Yeah.
God damn, it's good.
It is.
And the ending just seals the deal for me.
Oh, it's awesome.
It is. Seals the deal. What's your number 6? Yeah.
My number 6 is The Creature Walks Among Us.
We're one off.
Which is like the last technically Universal classic movie in the set.
Yeah.
Because, Spanish Dracula came first.
Yeah.
I love the Creature movies, obviously, since this is the first one that's appearing in my ranking thus far.
Yeah.
It's my favorite trilogy overall, obviously, in the franchise.
Yep, mine too.
How high they're all ranked. I love what they did with the Creature in this one. I know a lot of people don't. I noticed in a lot of my comments.
I don't understand that.
A lot of my comments for my review, people were saying they really didn't like it. But for me, I do because they did something different. I mean, it's one of those things where, again, if you like what they did originally, well, you still have the first 2 movies to watch.
And you still have the Creature, technically.
It's like what we were talking about with the Mummy movies. They decided to do like the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
As fun as they are, at least the Creature movies decided to switch things up.
Completely different.
So I really like that. I like how he's like so physically imposing in this one because he was 6'3" or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever
He was
it
a big
was.
dude. Big dude.
I love the look of the creature because again it's different. So we get a different look of Gilman. And yeah,
And the fact that it wasn't all in, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the water, but it wasn't all in the water this time.
exactly.
You know, you had a
he walks
different
among
area.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And I think that's important.
Yeah, I appreciate that they did something different. So
yeah. Just like with the Invisible Man movies.
Yep. All right. What do you got for number 5? Top 5.
Number 5 is The Creature Walks Among Us.
All right. There you go.
And it's for every reason that you just said. And the fact that it's my favorite Universal monster. Yep. It's my favorite trilogy. The only thing that would have put icing on the cake is, of course, if they did that one Abbott and Costello movie a little bit later and had him at least make an appearance. It would have been perfect for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But The Creature Walks Among Us, like you said, it's different. And you get a different version of the same thing, of the Gilman.
Yep.
And you can give me the Gilman all day long. I don't care. You know, he's awesome. But there are some I like more than that. I mean, you know, some movies I do like more than that because it's number 5. But yeah, that was one of we were talking earlier, the sequels that are in my top 5.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what's your number 5, Joe?
My number 5 is Revenge of the Creature.
Oh, blasphemy. It's no turd in hell for that one.
I mean, it's still number 5.
I know.
I love the creature. I love the setting in this one. I mean, it's basically the creature at SeaWorld. Marine land or whatever the hell it is. Marine Harbor or whatever. Ocean Harbor. I love it. I mean, it's the creature at a theme park.
Yeah.
Super cool. I love the hotel stalking scene, the motel stalking scene.
Yes.
Like, he's like stalking her in the shower and stuff. He's a prevert.
Let me get in there and scrub your back, baby.
Yeah, I love the movie. I really do. But it's like what you just said about Walks Among Us. It's just because of the other movies above this, I couldn't put it any higher for me personally.
I get that.
So that's number 5 for me.
What
do you got for 4?
Number 4 is the maniacal madman himself, the Invisible Man. Yeah. I can watch this movie over and over again. I think the way he plays with people is sinister as well as funny. Yep. The special effects are above and beyond anything. It holds up today. And what does that say? It's one of the earlier Universal monster movies. I love the fact that the serum and being invisible has turned him into a nut.
Yeah.
He, like I said, with the whole Kevin Bacon thing, is the whole arrogance thing that they played up in Hollow Man, which turned into insanity. And I think that's what they were trying to gain from the original Invisible Man. There had to have been some kind of arrogance there. I mean, thinking that you're going to be able to, turn yourself invisible and playing around with your own life and stuff like that takes a certain amount of arrogance.
Yeah.
And the movie is just so good. I feel like putting it on right now, to be honest with you. I do. I love The Invisible Man. I can watch it over and over again, just like my top 5 I can watch over and over and over and over again.
Yep.
Like a freaking child.
Exactly.
What's your number 4?
My number 4 is exactly where you should have had this. Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein.
That's too different.
Like I said, it is probably one of the most fun movies ever made.
Ever.
I mean, it just has everything you could want.
Yeah.
It's like the perfect horror comedy.
Yep.
In my opinion.
And the fact that I like this when I didn't like horror comedies when I was younger says something.
Yeah. You have the Halloween the masquerade party on the island.
Yep.
You have Larry Talbot, who is my favorite Universal character. I feel so bad for him. He's just trying to warn them, and it's like nobody listens to the fucking guy. Like the poor guy is trying to help you all. Like listen to him. I love the opening in the wax, the museum of all
Yes,
the
that's
relics
so
and stuff.
cool, isn't it?
It reminds me of the wax museum in Salem that I
I
go
gotta see
to.
that. I really
The
gotta see
one that's
that.
in that Wild Eye movie, Frankenstein's
Hungry Dead.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what it reminds me of so much. But yeah, I love that movie so much. And then, like you said, the ending is just that's just like the nail in the coffin.
The icing, the cherry on top.
It's
Oh my God.
so good.
And the fact that they used, well, I don't want to say it, but in case nobody has seen it, but the fact that they used who they used for that.
Yep. Exactly.
It's beautiful. Beautiful.
Exactly. So yeah, so for me, it's Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein at number 4.
Maybe I should have had it higher.
It belongs in the top 5.
Yeah. Well, it's right outside looking in. I mean, it's there. It's just I mean, but my top 5 is so strong. Anyway, my number 3 is the most atmospheric movie ever made. I think
gotta be The Wolfman, right?
It's The Wolfman.
I was gonna say if it's not, because that is the most atmospheric movie ever made.
I really wanted to put it at number 2, and it was at number 2 for a while.
Okay.
But I love my number 2 so much. No, I'm not talking about poop. I love the number 2 so much that it just couldn't take the place of it.
I know
really
what it is. So
yeah, I know you do. You do. You know what my number 1 and my number 2 is.
Yeah.
But The Wolfman is just so damn good, and even though he's like a prevert,
he's a prevert.
You still love the guy for it. The fact, I was saying it in my review and even in the Bravo thing which hasn't happened yet. I guess I gave that one away, but he walks on the balls of his feet, which takes. I mean,
yeah.
I have the utmost respect for Lon Chaney Jr. I watched a movie with him the other day. I watched the Haunted Palace. And he steals the show in every single movie he plays in. Yeah. Yeah. I love The Wolfman. That's another one. I could watch it now.
Yep.
Take it out, put it back in, watch it again.
That is probably the movie that I've watched the most out of the Universal. Not Frankenstein.
Yeah, I think you might be right about that. Frankenstein's close though for me.
Me too, but Frankenstein's probably second for me. But I think I watched The Wolfman more.
We can put it in right now and watch it. I'm completely fine with it. Completely fine.
It's awesome, yeah.
It's just so damn good.
Yep.
And the fact that you have Bella playing Bella.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a gypsy. It's just, damn, it's a good movie. And you can see, unfortunately, Werewolf of London. I know I'm rambling here, but Werewolf of London is such an underrated film. But when this movie came out, push it aside,
Yep.
I still like it though, but The Wolfman is a truly amazing film.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's my number 3. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is The Mummy's Tomb.
Really? Damn.
I almost had this at number 2. I'm going to be honest. Listen,
I loved it too.
I'm a slasher fan.
Yeah, me too.
At the end of the day, it's like I'm looking at it. It's like, do I really want to have this Mummy sequel, like The Mummy Part 3 at this high in my ranking? But I'm like,
it's so good though.
This is easily one of the most rewatchable sequels, especially for me.
Number
one is really short. Yep. You have the New England setting, which hits home for me because hello.
Yep.
I'm a New Englander. And you have Lon Chaney Jr., his first appearance as the Mummy.
Yeah.
You have the storyline, which is this is the first time we get the storyline of the way he's being.
Yeah, so I'm not sick of it by this point.
Exactly. You have the graveyard setting on top of it.
Yes.
With the mausoleum.
And this has a lot of atmosphere too.
And then you have literally again like this stalk and slash movie, whatever, stalk and kill movie, and then you have like that cool fire sequence too. It's a legitimate slasher film, and it's so good. Like this is a movie that I was smiling the whole time we were watching it.
Me too.
Like wow, I love this sequel.
I wish I could have put it higher, but I mean. Judging from the 9 before it, I'm glad it made the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, I just couldn't see putting it, for me personally, I just couldn't see putting it lower. I mean, I'm like, this is one that I know I'm going to revisit time and time again because it's just so fun. And again, a big part of my ranking is rewatchability.
That
You know,
too. Yeah.
it's a movie that I think is so fun. That's only an hour long. Yeah, this
Yep.
is easily one I'm going to be watching a lot.
Did I send that one to you too?
That's the one that I already had.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, that was like the one that I had on tape for Mummy movies. So yeah, that's my number 3.
Yeah, very well deserved too. My number 2, of course, my number 1 and number 2 are part of a trilogy.
So your number 2 is Creature from the Black Lagoon, right?
It is. Yeah. That's another one that is a little bit like a slasher movie with a sea monster.
It is. It's a monster that killing people one by one.
Yeah. Basically, he's picking off the boat one by one. Yeah.
Yep.
And the underwater sequences are absolutely beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
The actress is absolutely beautiful.
Oh my God, she's stunning.
I know.
Oh, she's so good. You can understand why the creature wants her.
Yeah.
Like we feel you, Gil, man.
So damn well.
Yep.
It's such a good movie. That's one I never get tired of watching. I can put it on any time and watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I appreciated The Creature Walks Among Us for being on land and stuff like that, I can't discount the fact that the underwater scenes are absolutely gorgeous.
Yep.
That they filmed in. It's just absolutely beautiful. So I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, the creature is my favorite character, the Gill Man.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's my number 2. What's your number 2, Joe?
My number 2 is the Wolfman.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
We had that one inverted.
it is the most atmospheric movie of all time. I honestly, I want someone to show me one that is more atmospheric. Because
I agree.
I
agree.
And again, this is another one that I used to watch as a kid. I used to watch this one as a kid with my grandmother.
Yeah.
And so this one has like a special place in my heart for that reason alone, because my grandmother has since passed, and I remember watching
nostalgic.
I remember watching it right upstairs in this house that I live in right now, where I'm sitting right now upstairs in the living room, sitting on that couch, watching it with my grandmother late at night, eating cookies and drinking tea with her, and watching the Wolfman. And the house was pitch black because it was dark. We had all the shades closed, all the lights off.
Yeah.
Watching my grandfather was in bed because he was always like an early bird.
Yeah.
And my grandmother was always like a night owl like me. So I remember, sleeping over here and watching the Wolfman with her and loving every minute of it.
Yeah.
And that movie just always stuck with me. So it's one that I've watched like my entire life. Like it's just one I always revisit. Not only is it the most atmospheric, it has my favorite character, which is Larry Talbot.
Yeah.
The creature may be my favorite monster, but Larry Talbot is my favorite like human character.
The Wolfman is really close for me
in these movies. Definitely for me too.
Because of the way it's designed. It's designed so well.
I think Larry Talbot for me is just because he's just a regular guy. I mean,
he's a schmo.
He didn't do anything.
He's a likable schmo.
He was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and he spends so much of his screen time just trying to warn everybody else.
Yeah.
Like he's not trying to hurt anybody. Like he knows.
And then there's a womp at the end of that too.
Exactly. And then you have the setting of, first of all, like the mansion, the Talbot mansion, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's very gothic.
You have the traveling carnival with the gypsies, amazing. Yep. You have the woods with all the mist, incredible. You have the cemetery, again, fantastic. But another setting that I love in this movie is the antique store.
Yes.
Because as someone who loves going to thrift stores and antique stores, it's really cool having that as one of the main settings in the movie.
I agree.
Like they
it
spend a
little bit of the antique store in Friday the 13th.
Yep. We spend a lot of time in the antique store in the Wolfman too. It's not even just like one scene. Like we get a lot of footage shot in this antique store, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
And again, another beautiful woman in this. They had some really, really good looking actresses in these movies. I love it. I love the storyline of this one so much. I think it's one of the greatest horror movies ever made.
I agree. And it's another short one. And you and I talk a lot about mist and fog and all that kind of crap. But you know how almost semi-dead the trees look and how they're lit? It's just unfathomable the way the sets were done. It's it's amazing. Amazing.
Absolutely.
It just puts you in a mood where it's gloomy and it's awesome. I don't know what else to say.
It's true.
I'm trying to find the right adjectives here, but yeah. But yeah, I love the Wolfman too.
I mean, when you think of atmosphere, I think of the Wolfman.
Yeah.
Like the word atmosphere, like literally to me, I literally think of the word atmosphere. I hear the word atmosphere and I think of the Wolfman.
Yeah.
That's what comes to mind.
You probably didn't know this. I don't know if I ever shared this with you, but up until maybe 20 years ago, the Wolfman was my favorite Universal monster.
It was mine too.
Yeah.
It was my
I
favorite.
mean, I was listening to what you were telling me about your grandmother and all.
Yeah.
And I was like, anything that had the Wolfman in it, I was in.
It was my favorite Universal monster movie. This was my go-to.
Yeah. Yeah, I would watch anything with the Wolfman, and I just thought he was so cunning and so neat the way he could jump and claw, and
Yep.
Yeah. Which is in a way a little disappointing because it seems like they have a problem making really good werewolf movies when they really shouldn't.
Yep.
Maybe they try too much. I mean, maybe that's what they do. I don't know.
Exactly.
Maybe they should take it back to the beginning, like the Wolfman, and take a beat from them.
Yeah, no kidding.
More expensive and CGI isn't always better.
Exactly.
So, which leaves number one. You know it, and most other people I know it. Revenge of the Creature is my favorite Universal movie.
Yep.
My favorite Universal monster is the Creature. Made 3 out of my top 5. Yeah, 3 at all trilogies. My top 5 basically.
Yep.
And you got Clint.
That's right.
I mean, it's just awesome. Like you said, SeaWorld, basically. They capture him, they put him in SeaWorld, he breaks out, and that's why I think this has a lot to do with a lot of similarities with The Shape of Water.
Well, I mean, he said it. He literally, Del Toro said he literally based The Shape of Water on Creature and Revenge of the Creature.
Exactly. So, which is another reason why I love that movie so much.
Yep.
Yeah. Revenge of the Creature is just it for me, which must make yours.
My number one favorite Universal monster movie is Creature from the Black Lagoon.
I knew it. I knew it.
I
remember when we watched this for Terror in the Isles, and you were just, I mean, you said you smiled the whole way through Tomb of the Mummy. You probably smiled the whole way through this too, because I remember
it's in my top. Yeah, I mean, so is the Wolfman, but the Creature from the Black Lagoon is also in my top 10 favorite horror movies of all time.
Yeah.
So I mean, those two Universal movies would make my top 10 again of all time horror. I mean, that includes everything. Phantasm, Evil Dead, Scream, Halloween,
Friday 13th Part 2.
Yeah, all those in addition to Creature from the Black Lagoon and the Wolfman. But Creature gets, the Wolfman has the nostalgia for me, but Creature is just one. I don't know. I love the setting. I love that it was filmed on movie. Love that it was filmed on location in Florida.
Yes,
and that's pretty cool. Like, it's weird. Like, you almost feel like the warm climate while you're watching it.
Yep.
Like
it feels like the jungle.
Yeah, it's like this black and white movie, but it feels so bright.
Yeah,
and it's kind of a cool contrast because the Wolfman always feels so dark
and cold.
Exactly. And then Creature is like the opposite. You feel warm and it's bright, and he's killing these people, in broad daylight.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't give a shit. And then you have those underwater scenes, like you said. I love, the lagoon scene at the end, like the whole, in the third act, the climax.
Yeah.
I love the fact that, he blocks them off with all the stuff so they can't get out. Like, he has them trapped.
Yeah.
The look of the Creature is absolutely amazing. Like you said, it does play out like a slasher. He's picking them off one by one on the boat. Really cool.
Yeah, and the guy that they got to play him was just massive.
Yep.
Just massive for that time. Just like The Creature Walks Among Us, just like one of the Frankenstein movies, that dude was really big.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Lon Chaney Jr. was a little bit shorter than a lot of the other ones.
Definitely, Rob.
But yeah, it's just amazing. God damn, these are amazing movies. Like I said, not a dud in the entire bunch. 31 movies.
Yep. There it is. Monster Mayhem is officially
over. Don't say it.
It is over.
No.
I remember talking about this idea with you.
Yeah.
I was on my daily walk. I remember I know exactly where I was too in my neighborhood walking.
Yep.
remember the exact spot when we were talking about this, and we were figuring out. Well, I know I was figuring out like which ones that I needed to get because I had most of them. These Universal Monster movies. There was a couple sequels, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna see if I can get the box set. And then I found the Blu-ray set cheap on Amazon at the time. It was just a good timing. And, ended up getting that. And I remember we were both so excited for this. And originally we talked about doing it for the 31 Days of Horror.
That was my original intention
in October. Yeah.
Every year.
I remember.
For some reason, I just never did it.
And then, me, my mind, I'm like, May has 31 months. What if it's MAYhem?
Yep. Which I thought was perfect because then we got to do them sooner.
Yeah.
So
and it just and it frees up October to do Halloween themed stuff, and then we were able to do both.
Yeah.
So I was glad we decided to do this. I think it was great. I loved doing this. This was something I've been wanting to do for a while as well. I just kind of always put it off, and then when you've always said it, so it was like, you know what? Why don't we just do this? Let's just do it.
And the fact that we did them by release date, so
I love that.
You could walk basically through the sets. You could walk through, what made this film better than this film and how they advanced in certain things.
Yep.
And it's a special franchise. It really is.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like 31 movies and there ain't a done a bunch. So there's not many franchises you could say that, if any.
Exactly.
So yeah. Even my favorites of all time, which this has got to go up in my favorites.
Yep.
I can't use it as not a segue, but I can't see it as a Friday the 13th or a Halloween because there's so many different monsters. And even though they're part of the same universe,
I know
it's different.
I know. You know what I'm thinking, but
yeah. And you and I talked about that.
I know.
Logically, we could have.
But then it's like, where do you draw the line?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember you just telling me that. I'm like thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? He's right.
Because then do you include like the Black Cat and the Rain and stuff like that? There's all these others in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Universal was capitalizing on their stuff for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's tough, but I love the franchise just the way it is. Considering it a franchise like Phantasm is a franchise and Friday the 13th, if I have to say that, my favorite franchises in the world, this is one of them. So
I agree.
It's just different.
I agree. And there's so much of a variety here.
Yeah. Yeah. To have so many monsters hit, you're doing something right. So
I just wish that Lon Chaney Jr. got to play the Invisible Man.
Yeah, that would have been the whole gambit, wouldn't it?
That would have been awesome, yeah.
Yep. Hey, maybe he was the Invisible Man in parts of it.
we just didn't see him, He was invisible.
So, yeah, from our 31st to our first, just nothing but good films. Yeah. I'm happy we did this. I not only happy that we ranked them and watched them, and reviewed them, but I'm also happy that we actually got a chance to do this ranking because, I said earlier that from our reviews, you can pretty much glean what we thought of each film. Mm-hmm. But when there's 31, where do you put this one? Where do you put that one? Where do you put this one?
Exactly.
So they're not going to know everything, but they'll know like
they'll know which ones are ranked high, but not exactly where they place.
Right. Yeah. And it was really fun to do these reviews.
Yeah.
Really fun. So, yeah. Really fun. And I like the fact that you were able to show different versions of different stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do throughout. VHS, DVD, Blu-ray.
Dude, I gotta find that ring. A little off topic, but that ring VHS is badass.
That was the original release. That's why.
Oh my god! If I find that damn thing at a thrift store,
I
roughing
come
it up
across
quick.
the ring tape every now and then, but it's always the re-release in the cardboard box.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably get that too, but that one in the plastic is the shit right there.
Yep. And like I said, when you put the tape in, the first thing that plays is the video. Like there's no like FBI warning, you know, all that stuff.
Hell yeah!
Like you put it in, and all of a sudden you see like the static and that video plays, and it's like, oh shit. And it's like, you know, and the DVD has it too. You can play it on the DVD, but it doesn't have the same effect, obviously, because in the movie it's a tape that they put in the VCR.
Yeah. And even though that's the only thing that may not hold up so well these days, but with you and I and a lot of other people in the community that collect VHS, it does hold up quite well.
Yeah.
So, you know, plus that tape was badass. Man, you showed that the other day. I didn't even know you had it. And I was like, wow, I need to get that for my collection.
It's a nice tape, yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome.
I got that like the day it came out. I was a big fan of The Ring when it came out.
Oh yeah. And that's another thing. I don't understand why. And I tell you, Mistress Jen, who follows both of our channels, put it very interestingly on my video. She probably did the same thing as, I don't know if you talked about the hate as much as I did, but it seems like The Grudge and the Ring have gotten hate.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because of the sequels weren't quite up to par, but she did make a lot of sense in what she said. You know, she did say that, you know, people loved them when they first saw them. Then they went back and watched the original, and the originals are superior.
You know,
they are superior films.
I'm going to be honest. I like the American Ring better than Ringu.
Do you really?
I do.
Wow.
I do. You know, it's nothing. It's not to say that it's not a good film or that it's not even a better film, but it's like anything else. It's like, you know, people always want to talk about representation and stuff. You know what I mean? I can relate more to the American version than I can to the Japanese.
It has a lot of our culture in there.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not going to relate as much to, so it's not going to, if I can't relate to something, it's not going to be as scary for me. Yeah,
I get that.
Because it's like, okay, well, I don't live in Japan and I wouldn't do this and I wouldn't do that. And this isn't, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just one of those things. Like I love the movie Alien, but it's like, okay, well, I'll just never go to space and I don't have to fucking worry about it, you know? Or it's like I always hear about people like I always hear about people that are like terrified of Jaws. Well, here's an idea: stay on the fucking land. You know what I mean? I mean, that's it. I mean,
go in a pool.
Yeah. So it's just that's just the way I see things, you know, with horror movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm able to put myself in similar situations, but I do love Asian horror in general.
I do too.
But and I think one of the reasons why I like it so much is because I learn a lot about a different culture.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff that scares them doesn't really scare me the same way.
Yeah.
But I think that the ideas itself are pretty freaking cool. So I guess that's what keeps me kind of.
I'll say this too, and again, it's not just like, you know, I mean, you know me. I mean, I love there's lots of foreign films that I love.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not somebody who is against subtitles.
Right.
I will say, I think I'm more likely to be affected by a movie that doesn't have subtitles only because I'm paying more attention to everything else.
Yes.
So if I can hear it and see it and I can experience it more as opposed to my eyes are focused on,
yes.
Don't get me wrong, I'm seeing the whole screen, but I'm more focused on what they're saying. So I can't necessarily get lost in the whole film like I would if I could hear it as well.
I've thought about that a lot because you and I have had a lot of discussions about subtitles, and for everyone in the chat, I don't know how many people are there anymore. It's not letting me back in. But Joe and I both, when it's available, we use subtitles on films, especially films that we've already seen. The reason being is because sometimes words sound like other words. Sometimes people mumble and you don't really get to what they say. And sometimes that stuff is important.
Yep.
So we like to kind of grasp, I think I can speak for you, that we like to grasp everything of the film.
Exactly.
We want to know exactly what they're saying because it may pertain to something down the line.
Yep.
And So both Joe and I both use subtitles. I remember hearing somebody, I think it was Terry, that said that one time, that he only watches it with subtitles too. And I had already begun doing that.
You're the one who got me in that habit because I never really did.
Yeah.
Because I always sort of like, again, it's like I don't mind subtitles if I need them, but they can be distracting in some movies.
Yeah, they can.
So I never really liked subtitles because I always felt like I would be distracted. But there are a lot of movies that
You're going to say it. Good.
Well, I was going to say there's stuff being said in the background.
Yes.
That you miss sometimes, and you're like, holy
sometimes
shit,
it's important.
That's important. I mean, watching something like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, when there's so many different things going on on screen, like you can watch that party scene, you can hear people saying things in the background. It's like, holy shit! Yep. I would have never known that if
they're all talking about their careers and stuff like that.
It's really cool.
You don't get that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And another thing is, I thought that you were going to say this. A movie like Rocky, I've seen probably 100 times, maybe even more. Watch it every time it comes on. I've been a big fan ever since I was a little kid of all the movies. Mm-hmm. Okay, he's kind of got a slur to his words. I always liked Sylvester Stallone. I thought he was perfect in Rocky. Yep. He's got that Italian sort of street language, right?
Yep.
I'm going to be honest. There's a few things that he mumbles that I never got.
Yeah.
And the fact that I hear him say this, perfect example in Rocky 2, right? Mm-hmm. When they're planning the rematch. A lot of people never notice this. When Apollo's all business, right? Mm-hmm. And his trainer is in the background watching Rocky on television. And maybe it's the first one. I think it might be the first one. But anyway, he's talking business. He's not really paying attention. He doesn't really care. He thinks he's the shit and all that. Mm-hmm. He says something that a lot of people don't catch at the very end. And it ends up happening in the film. He says, oh, one day I might decide to run for him. And he does.
Yeah.
So I just think stuff like that, if you don't have the subtitles on, it's low in the dialogue. It's kind of mumbled in a way. Mm-hmm. But, that kind of fact it's important.
So. I agree. Eric, it's true. I mean, I won't go to space. So what the hell am I worried about?
Yeah. It is what it is, but hey, Eric, what's up, man? I finally let me back in. Yeah, the creature effects are unbelievable. I don't even know if he's still here. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Casey. Thank you, everyone that stopped by.
Yeah.
And it just kicked me out again. Son of a bitch.
This was fun. We've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, it has been a while since we watched the films. Being brought back up to date by watching our reviews was a lot of fun too.
Yep.
And then being able to talk about them and rank them. And I will honestly say, I did not agree with some of my rankings in Terror in the Isles. Mm-hmm. Of course, one being, meets Frankenstein.
Yeah.
But that was how I felt at the time.
Yeah.
So Joe and I don't touch these when we rank them. We don't say, oh, well, I'm thinking about it now, and I like the Wolfman better than the Creature from the Black Lagoon. Yeah. That's not how it happens.
It's basically how it affects us as we're watching it.
Yes. So we pretty much stuck to that the entire time.
Yep.
So, but yeah, you got anything else you want to say, or
no? I think that covers it. For everybody else, now that Monster Mayhem is over, obviously we saw the Bravo Scariest Movie Moments Challenge, so. Those
Positive Spin is back.
Those videos will be on Sundays and Thursdays.
Yep.
We have Positive Spins on Saturdays. Controversial View returning on Tuesdays.
Yep. And this month is going to be a tie-in to all the Universal Monster movies.
Yep, and that includes our 4 more videos as well.
Yes. Yeah.
We're also in July. We're going to announce something else that we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a Monday series, I guess, for us.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, I'll be announcing something else for Fridays that we'll be doing eventually.
Yeah.
But we're gonna get through this month first and get through this stuff, and then we'll bombard you with some more announcements.
We have a pretty full month this month.
Yeah. 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 That's that.
About it.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us tonight. This was fun.
Thank you, everybody.
We hope you enjoyed Monster Mayhem, and we hope you enjoyed this stream.
Yeah.
And until next time, we're going to be doing what are we in June? So we'll probably have another stream, I'm sure, probably in between. But in July, we're going to be doing a Scream stream.
Yeah.
Once Scream 6 comes out on Blu-ray, just because, we just our rules.
We got a lot to watch before then, too.
Once we own Scream 6 officially, we're going to be doing a Scream stream, and we're going to be talking about all of the Scream movies and as well as the Scream TV series.
Yep.
And
what you have actually already ranked, is the ranking going to hold up?
Exactly. We'll see. And I never ranked it with Scream 6, so.
Yeah, and mine stopped at Scream 4.
Yeah, so and it's definitely going to change because of Scream 5 and Scream 6.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna go through all those. We're gonna rank all those, including the TV series by season, and that'll be in July. But like I said, we'll probably have another stream, I'm sure, in between.
Yeah,
because it's still early. It's only June 2nd right now, so
yeah. Half the year already gone.
Yep. All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Till next time.